And I believe we are live. So, hi, welcome everybody. I'm Marteinn. I'm the host for tonight, and I have Paul here with me. We're gonna talk about printer styles and how printers have developed throughout the years, and hopefully we'll have more people joining in at a later time for the stream. But Paul, if you would start with just introductions and.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Marteinn. I'm Paul, also known as 3D printing stuff on YouTube and Twitter, trying to make videos about all kinds of things. And started a long time ago, I think, with 3D printing, somewhere around 2009, actually.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3DP Iceland. I do all kind of filament testing and design projects, and one of the things I do a lot of is those landscape prints. I print them out from a 3D model and paint them. And I've done live streams and also time-lapse videos of me doing those. Recent project I was doing is a mount for my CR10 to mount a Bondtech extruder and a mosquito hot end. So this is a design I just finished and I'm going to release the files on Thingiverse soon. That was quite a task. and also I made this ukulele a few weeks ago, and it actually plays. It's auto-tuned though, but it plays. It was a fun project. But that's me, 3DP Iceland, and we have the links in the video description, so you can check out our channels and Twitters. You can subscribe to us there. But we wanted to start the stream talking about how different styles of printers came about and how our personal journey into 3D printing was and how we started and what equipment we had and such. And I'm not that old in 3D printing. I had a printer for 1.5 years, so Paul might have a different story. So I'll switch over to Paul. You might tell your story and what you have gone through.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I started, I think, around 2009 when I saw actually a RepRap Darwin somewhere at a conference. I think it was a Darwin. I'm not fully sure. It's a long time ago. And after that we decided, a few friends of me, to start creating our own printer, and that was a Cells Mendel, also based on the RepRap project, and we made it during university in a, I think, 2-year time period. And back then everything was still ABS. There was no PLA, I think, at all. So you printed everything in ABS, and everything was 3mm. So a lot different from now. And after that, I think I got the very first Prusa MK0, which also was still a 3mm printer back then, which is actually converted right now mostly to a Core XI machine, which is actually behind me over there. That machine still uses the same electronics back from then. I think I got it in 2013 or 14, I can't remember. And now I have, basically Prusa MK2, Ultimaker 3, and a CR10 besides that.
Yeah, and the Mendel, at that time you have to source everything yourself, right?
Yeah, you have to source everything yourself. There was a lot of information on the RepRap wiki, so you just followed that information, sourced all the parts, bought all electronics, actually soldered them, the SMD components, including the stepper drivers and things like that, because that was cheaper, and because it was a university project, it needed to be as cheap as possible. So everything was soldered yourself. I was studying electronics, so SMD wasn't really a problem for myself. And making that and sourcing everything. Broke a few hot ends back then. It were still the peak hot ends with a full peak body. So if you crashed too hard into the bed, you basically broke it directly. So I think we bought like 20 of them at some point. So that's completely different as now.
Yeah, and there were no. How was the firmware? At what stage was the firmware?
I can't really remember. I think there was some sort of Marlin already, but I'm not fully sure. there was something for sure, but it might actually be the RepRap firmware itself, but I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, and you said ABS was the filament. Were there any alternatives to ABS, or was it just?
I don't think so. I think we mostly used ABS back then, and I'm not even fully sure if PLA.
Were there any alternatives to ABS, or was it?
If PLA already exists, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, and nylon, was that something people could use at that time?
It might have been. We didn't try it at that moment. We actually didn't get that machine really working. I think it printed one whistle, kind of, and that was it. After that, we decided just to stop working on it because, yeah, it had too much problems, and we broke it way too often. And yeah, I studied it was getting too expensive, basically, at that point.
Yeah, and then you had the Prusa, the first Prusa.
Yep.
That was built like a triangle shape.
No, it was already the Prusa i3 shape, so it was already basically the first machine. I think they made us Prusa research basically. It was the MK0, so it's still the MK2 and 3 are still really based off that design, just being improved from that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the original i3 style then.
Yeah, basically, yeah. With still 3mm design on our filament, and I think there was an option to convert it after that, but I never tried that. I just got a MK2 instead. That's
yeah, yeah. I got my first printer 1.5 years ago was a Prusa MK2S version.
Oh yeah.
The S version was just arrived when I ordered my printer. So I have that, and I have upgraded that to 2.5 not so long ago. And I got an MK3 printer, and now they are very similar after the 2.5 upgrade. So it's a very similar printer. And then my CR10 is mostly my playground for testing things. I've been testing extruders and hot ends and all kind of stuff. And I'm always making some projects with a CR10, trying to create content for my YouTube channel and also just testing out things.
Yeah, at the moment I mostly use my MK2 because it's just a machine that works, and it's a really stable machine. I don't have much problems with it at all. I'm using the Ultimaker partly for using PVA supports, but if you want single extruder, the Prusa is just much better.
Yeah, it's the same for me for my Prusa MK2 and 3 printers. They are just stable and work and really don't give me any problems. And
no.
I printed the upgraded parts when Prusa releases new parts that you can print out. So I've followed through that cycle, but really the printing. Yeah, I'm reading chat. Sorry. Yeah, I can move my camera. It's actually printing, so I'm gonna move the camera. So be ready for some camera shake. The cable is not very good. Let me switch the camera. Wait a minute. I have another one. Yeah, I can't get any closer. But here's the Bondtech extruder with a mosquito hot end and a TS3D ECABL bed leveling sensor and a Noctua fan for part cooling. So that's a upgrade I've been doing.
That's really nice.
It was quite a project.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
There have been a lot of testing, and I was just recording a video yesterday on the process, and just as I finished doing the video, I found out the issue that I have to fix and make some changes, and it's gonna be a never-ending story, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's. Yeah, I think that's the great thing about 3D printing, and especially the machines. You always get something to improve on your machine, and that's just the great thing about it. Especially if you know how to do that yourself and how to design stuff. I think that's one of the greatest things about 3D printing.
Yeah, and here's the main part that bolts to the CR10. This goes to the backplate, and then here is the extruder, and the ECABL sensor is here, and the extruder motor here, and there are holes to mount everything, and was quite a project, and I'm finalizing the design, and we'll release it on Thingiverse when ready. So it's not available at this moment because it's still in development. But I got contacted by the Bondtech guys. They wanted to to have a look at it, and I'll send them a step file so they can work on it also. So that will be shared when ready. Do you do any designs to improve your printers, or do you find things on Thingiverse and print out? Or
I'm trying to, but my design skills aren't really the best. So in general, I'm more electronics and kind of hardware guy. I'm not really a design guy. So in general, I try to design something, but in most cases it just don't work out. And I've designed some stuff in the past, but not that much.
Yeah, I have great fun in Fusion, and it's just a lot of things to consider, and I spent many days in Fusion on this product, and I printed out. I have like a full plastic bag of
yeah, I know that.
Test mounts and tests.
I have a full bin of plastic parts and things like that broke down, or field prints and things like that. It's I actually needed to empty it because it's too full to put extra stuff in there.
Yeah, Ben, I have already recorded a video. I'm gonna publish it very soon. Yeah, the video is in the works. I still have to do some editing on it. But yeah, I think 30-minute long video material to go through. Yeah, and you have the Ultimaker. Is it the Ultimaker 3 or what?
Yeah, it's Ultimaker 3. It was a few years ago when they just released the first or the Ultimaker 3, and I also had the Ultimaker original a few years ago for a while, and I really like those machines because it's really, for at least, or at start it's a Dutch company, and I want to support local companies in general. To be honest, they changed too much in my opinion now to be actually they are too company related and not really for consumers like they were a few years ago. But I wanted to have a dual extrusion machine, and at that moment I really liked that machine. I liked the Ultimaker, so I decided to get that one, even if that was really expensive actually for what you are getting.
When I was looking at printers 1.5 years ago, I didn't know anybody that owned a printer. I had no information, so I just started to Google 3D printer and such, and very soon found Ultimakers, and I thought the device looked amazing, and then I saw the price, and I thought, oh fuck, I'm never getting into 3D printing, and it's gonna be too expensive. Then I found the Prusa website, and then I was really happy to get a printer of like 1/4 or 1/5 of the price.
Yeah, especially if you are comparing the quality of you get from the Prusa compared to the Ultimaker, especially single extruder support is for the Prusa just much better as the Ultimaker.
Yeah, it's really good. But you said about PVA supports. When you use those, how is the print interface layer or the quality of the interface?
That's really great, actually. Let me see if I have an example somewhere here. It's in general. You now have actually support for Cura to just have the interface layer. In the past, you needed to print the full part with PVA, and you weren't able to have the just the interface layer. But in general, I still print with just PVA supports and not anything else. I think it makes it a bit easier to remove supports, especially in hard to get parts. I'm trying to find an example of.
Yeah, it can enable you to print out some crazy designs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's. Yeah. I don't have much parts I can show that are. I do have some customer parts, but I can show them. Yeah. So, but in general, yeah, you are getting a really nice quality and nice, surface finishing when using PVA support.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is no drooping in between the supports.
There's no drooping, and because it's different material, the difference, or there is no space between the layerings or between the support and the material itself. So you get basically a flat surface if you have flat parts, and I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I've never seen a Ultimaker print in my eyes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great machine in general. I don't think it's worth the price if you are just a hobbyist. If you are a company, I think it's great because you get the support from Ultimaker. It's a machine that still works really well and still doesn't have much problems. So, and if you have a problem, it's Ultimaker supporting it. So for companies, I think it's a great machine. For hobbyists, it's not that much of a great machine, especially with the price point it is.
Yeah, they are local to your country, right?
They are local to my country, but I don't think they are selling them itself now. You need to still go to another web shop. They are just making them here, and they are based here, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So you can't really walk into their company and.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but you probably get good shipping option.
I think it was free, but I didn't buy it directly from Ultimaker, but from some web shop that I can't remember which one, but one of the bigger 3D printer related web shops.
Yeah. Yeah, and have you worked with any other types of printers than you own yourself, or you were mentioning the first one was at your university, or?
Yeah, we created the Mendel, so basically from scratch and just making sure everything was right and things like that. So that's great. So you just get a list of parts, just go on the internet and find everything, and you have a printer if you are doing it right. And I think that's still a great thing. I wanted to make the Hypercube just behind me. I just wanted to make that one from scratch with just a few drawings, and that's it. And just sourcing all parts from the internet. And I think if you have a bit of knowledge, it's really easy to get it done. There is a lot of knowledge on Facebook and other groups as well, and you can ask questions and get help. But yeah, everything is basically on the internet, and you just need to get the parts.
Yeah. And have you seen the rail core?
I actually haven't. I want to look that up. It looks really nice from what I've read about it.
Yeah, that's the project. The guys are listing up bills of material, and it's now they are selling a kit of parts and instructions with it to create it. Everything is like high quality, and you have a really like a live 3-point bed leveling system. So it's actually leveling the physical bed. So it's a very precise bed leveling system. They got crazy good details in the prints because everything is so well aligned. But I think the kit with all the parts is like $1,500. So it's not a cheap option, and they don't promote it as a cheap option for everyone. More like an engineering platform.
Oh yeah, the one printer I wanted to try myself is actually a printer belt like printer. So you just have the belt and it moves around, so you can basically print unlimited in length. And I think that's one great idea to have. I wanted to get the printer belt just before Printerbot shut down, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that was a really great machine.
Yeah, that was interesting project you could basically print out a 2 meter long part. Have the belt going on, and
you can have just the belt going on and basically unlimited and until you have out of filament, I guess. And I think that idea was great.
Yeah, I saw some pictures. I think it's called Black Belt. That's another company that is doing the belt printer.
Yeah,
they had like a really big RC plane fuselage. It was like 2 meters long.
Yeah.
so that's amazing what people find out how they can create bigger parts and tilting everything and having a conveyor belt. It's a cool project.
I think Black Belt is actually part of ColorFab, or at least somehow related to ColorFab.
Yeah, okay. And they're in Holland as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are in the same building as ColorFab.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have quite a lot of their filament.
I have as well. I really like their filament.
It's really high quality, and I'm really happy with it. This part is printed in ColorFab HT.
Oh yeah,
XT. Sorry, XT.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of filaments. It's a bit expensive sometimes, but the quality is really great. So I use it for especially the more parts that need to be look nicer. So, but
I'm really happy with their filaments.
Yeah.
And I see Dawn joining in. Dawn, do you want to join the stream? I can send you the private link if you want. Gonna try to get him on.
Yeah.
I jumped to his. He has been streaming on the weekends, and I joined one time to his stream. The printer belt is a cool project, and it's a shame that Printbot went bust.
Oh yeah, it's really a shame. I think China is making stuff too cheap sometimes. I like to get stuff sometimes cheap, but it don't need to be too cheap, and I think that's happening right now. If you are able to get a printer for around €100, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's they can overflood the market in all fields, I guess. I'm trying to get a link to Dawn.
Okay. Yeah, dan gaat 6 Printbelt can live on. I think actually Printerbelt will live on, and it will happen, but we will need to see how it's going. And I think especially some parts are really specific to the Printerbelt that might be really hard to manufacture if Brook isn't working on that.
Yeah, that would be cool if the project can live on even though the company went down. I think he's not gonna quit 3D printing. He's gonna find something to do, I think.
I'm sure he will. Yeah.
I think I was not personally familiar with Printerbot because I'm quite new in this hobby. But when I saw the news and everybody was talking about it, I did some research and found out he's been at it for a quite long time, and was like a really big part of the movement of getting printers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Don, tell me your Twitter handle so I can send you a link. I don't have any place to send you a link.
I haven't seen the interview with Tom yet. I've been on work trip, so I need to watch that actually. I heard it was a really great interview with Brooke and Tom.
Yeah, I saw that interview. It was like a tribute to his work. That's a good. Yeah, just gonna try to find Don.
Yeah. But it is something I'm going to watch this weekend somewhere if I have a few moments of spare time. Finding spare time is really hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's here he is. Yeah, he has to follow me. I can't send him a message. Yeah, can you give me a follow? I'm following you, Don. So if you go and follow me and send me a tweet, I can respond. Yeah, you can't send a message to.
Oh yeah.
Like a private message, unless they are following. So we'll work that out and have him on. Yeah, I haven't seen the second video where it was like a uncut version.
Oh, there's a second one as well. Oh wow.
Yeah, there were two videos. So. No, this is just a Icelandic soda. It's like a malt and orange blend. Okay, now Dawn has the link, so he can join in. We'll hear his story on what printer he has and what types. Sorry. Yeah. And the Ultimaker, is that a Core X by design, or what's the name of the design?
No, it's not a Core XI machine. I'm not sure how it's actually called. I think it's basically their own design.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, here we are, Dawn.
Yes, here I am. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
1 second, please. I have to mute YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes. How is everybody doing?
Yeah, doing good.
Oh, that's nice to hear. And thank you for inviting me to your channel.
Yeah, we have to get you to the Facebook group as well. If you want to join in, we do this every other Friday for the European time zone, and then the other Friday is on the US time zone friendly. So we try to do this stream every other week.
What else do we have here? We have Paul.
Yes.
Hello, Paul.
Hi there.
How you doing, my friend? Where are you located? In the UK?
No, I'm from the Netherlands, actually.
The Netherlands?
Yes.
Well, hello, neighbor. I could say. I am in Bad Bentheim. I'm not sure if you know that city name.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's pretty close by, actually.
Yes, I live in Bad Bentheim. Okay. 8 kilometers from the border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your neighbors practically. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to get a boat and row a while to come to you, Marteinn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a flight is a better option maybe. Yeah.
And who else do we have here?
I think Katja just joined.
Yeah, she's joining in.
Oh, my girlfriend, Kat. Yeah. One of my One of my Patreons, my very first Patreon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were. I don't know if you saw the initial topic for this stream was different types of machines and what we have had tested ourselves, and so if you can tell us a little bit about what you have in regard to printers and let us know your experience.
Well, I would be happy to talk about that. I've been into 3D printing since 2015. My first printer was Wanhao i3, the version 1. That was running until a couple of months ago when I decided to build a hypercube. And because my Wanhao i3 decided he doesn't want to work for me anymore, I decided to salvage some of the parts, like the motors and the power supply. And I started getting other parts for it. And right now, as you can see up in the corner, there is my Wanhao D9. That's with a 300 by 300 bed. Some of the people who has been following my channel, been watching some of my videos, has seen since March when I got that thing was half apart instead of being a pre-built one, and a couple of broken parts on it. Well, I had a lot of problems with Wanhao getting the parts and then getting that thing up and running. But yeah, in the meantime, I can get a print off that Wanhao D9 without hardly any problem. And for my future printer, that's going to be a hypercube with the format 200 by 300.
Yeah, and you're going to build that just from extrusions and
yes,
mount everything yourself. And
yes, I'm going to be building that from extrusions. I'm just waiting for a package from a good friend in the UK. Because we found out that 4 pieces of the extrusion would cost me here in Germany just as much as all of the extrusions over there in the UK.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those extrusions are really expensive.
Yes, and yeah, anyway, he's going to be sending me a couple other parts with it too. So I can start building the frame, start putting a lot of it together. And then all I have to do is just get the main board. And that is going to be the Large X with the 8729 drivers on it.
Yeah, okay. And Kat, are you with the mic working? I see your image, but no sound.
Yes. But I can't. But we can't hear you.
Yes, she's working on the audio. Yeah, she will chip in when. And it will be working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the Wanhao, that's the i3 style, and then you're creating the hypercube. That's a different style.
Yeah. The Wanhao D9 that I have right now, that's up and running. That's okay. The i3 that I had, I salvaged some of the parts from it because that wasn't working anymore as it should. But I have the bed, I have the motors, and I have the power supply, which I can use for the hypercube.
Yeah, we got some audio from you, Kat, I think.
No, I can't hear you.
No, okay. I thought it was coming in, but it was maybe just a background noise.
For a minute, I think.
Yeah.
So still not working. Now you got me.
Yeah.
You know, I finally found my real thing here. I was looking at for it. I haven't found it since I've moved. So now I will not bother you anymore from now on, because now I really got the thing working. You know, because last times I had some stuff that wasn't working here or there, but now I really got the setup that I always wanted.
Yeah, and your audio is coming through great, so it's a good audio.
Finally.
Yeah, so welcome to the stream, and since you were joining, maybe you'll introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the printers you have and what style of printers they are?
Yeah, so my name is Katja, aka Cat 3D, and I'm 3D printing since last year around February. I started off with a console that I assembled by myself. Then I bought a Blox Zero. It's a small printer from Portugal, which I also assembled. I backed it up on Indiegogo. And then I bought a Chinese printer. It's 300 by 300 by 300. It's you cannot see it from here. And then what got me into 3D printing, because I was waiting for it for more than half a year, was this little machine that you can see here that I recently saw again. It was on the shelf for such a long time. Since I've moved, I've never used it, because when I moved, I spilled the resin that was still in there in the LCD screen, so I had to exchange it. And today I tried to print something, but it all failed. So it's not that easy to get these machines working if you don't know what you're doing. But I think the next print will be okay. And I also have a small little Delta printer that's over here that I also like to use. So I have lots of printers. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 FDM printers and 1 resin printer. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get a Delta just to look at it print. It's crazy mechanics.
You know what, Martin? Really. You know, this machine here just costs you like $160 US, and to get into it, I can really recommend it. It's only under $60, and it even has a small little touch probe. It's just a simple thing like this one here, and just to see the you know how Delta is working, I can really recommend it to you. It doesn't cost so much, and then you just because I know that you don't have so much space in your nerd place over there.
yeah. I'm really just having a very small corner of the living room.
So that this doesn't take so much space. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, Martin, with living room. That's where my makerspace is right now.
I have the same problem. It's just like half of my living room right now. It's
yeah, you can see my sofa over there.
But hey, Martin, if I swing my camera over to my coffee table, I think you would agree that I need a larger coffee table. So let me just swing the camera around and take a look there. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you see Johnny 5. He is 75 centimeters tall. He's standing in the back. In the middle is the X-Wing. He's 65 long and 45 wide. And right now I'm finishing this guy up front. This is the Star Citizen Hornet. And well, he's almost finished. A good friend of mine in the TK, with the initials TK in the UK, is printing the landing pods for me with his Moai.
Okay.
And he's going to be sending those to me. And then when that's done, that guy is going to get a paint job.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. You need a bigger table.
Yeah. As you can see, my coffee table is almost full.
Yeah.
But that was the only free room I had to put them down.
Yeah. A lot of my prints end up here on this printer cabinet. Then often they go from there to my wife's work. She's a preschool teacher. She takes a lot of prints with her to give the kids. So they have got a lot of benches and all kind of parts.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat now.
So this is basically the other side of my living room. So it's really just around, and that's it. So that's.
Yeah, Paul, it looks like you keep your living room 3D free, huh?
Well, it's just half of the size. That part of the living room is just the living room, and here it's well, this is my dinner table, so it's kind of 3D printing related because I don't eat dinner here often. And behind here is sort of my workspace and 3D printing space, but it's the same room basically, and it's one big mess.
But what I see from here, I think your room is the cleanliest one from the four of us.
Well, I don't say that for sure. It
seems to be the cleanliest. Or do you have something hidden on the floor down there?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
if you look here at the floor, and
I didn't expect that you would really show us. Okay.
So
yeah, but it's kind of clean.
Yeah,
okay.
Kat might know I have to find a new apartment.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because
I don't want to show you. Is it for me? It's like this. I always make everything like a big mess. Then I'm totally fed up with it, and then I say and then I clean up everything tidy. And one day later, it's a big mess again. It's just like that.
I have the same problem. Really. Yeah, I needed to clean this table for something else, and normally it's really full of everything. And
we got a question from Matt. What features of each printer do you like? So like what's the favorite feature of each printer? Yeah, so I can start with a Prusa, because now I have the Prusa MK2 and that was converted to 2.5. That's really a conversion that I recommend to get the removable print surface. And same for the Prusa MK3 printer. The removable bed is definitely a feature that I like. And for my CR10 that I have converted into, I don't know what it's called, the mosquito hot end on the Bondtech gears, and now I have it on a direct drive setup with my new design. So that is definitely the favorite part of my CR10. Now it's direct drive.
Well, if I should jump up as second, I don't have much to say except for my Wanhao D9. Just like with the Prusa, I have a magnetic flexible bed on it. I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera in the corner here. Yeah. I have a magnetic bed on this. And as soon as I do the software updates on it, I will then have, hopefully, a perfect operating ABL system.
Yeah, I think the auto bed leveling is just one of the greatest things ever. I still hate it when I get a new printer that doesn't have auto bed leveling. It's so much of a pain to get your bed perfectly level. And yeah, having auto bed leveling just makes your life much easier.
Yes, that is one thing that I think every printer should have nowadays. Automatic bed leveling and a removable flexible print bed.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah, and Kat, what's your favorite features?
So I don't have really one favorite printer because every one of them has a feature that I like very much about it. For instance, Delta printers you can really print fast with. You can print large objects with. And for instance, the CraftBot 3 that I'm still struggling a little bit with because one of the heads keeps on clogging, but there the dual extrusion is really cool. Yeah. So once it's working, I'm gonna look into getting two dual color prints done. And for instance, here the resin printer I love because I will do jewelry with it. So there's not one specific printer that I really like. Yeah, every printer has its special advantage. Yeah, let's say.
Yeah, definitely. Like you have so many different styles of printers that it's one is suitable for one thing and the other one is better for another thing.
Yeah. I don't think just one printer to rule everything. Everyone has its usages.
Yeah, I got my CR10 mainly to print my landscape maps, to create them bigger. I was printing them on my Prusa machine, and I wanted to create bigger platforms to paint. And so I got the CR10 basically for that. And then I've turned that into test bench for products. and one of the first thing I got for it was a bed leveling sensor. I was feeling really awkward not having a bed leveling sensor on it. So.
Yeah, and how I do it had a question for me if I have any problems with the magnetic bed. To answer that, yes. The magnetic bed that is on there, it reminds me back in the early 90s when I had my own offset printing company and sign making company. That reminds me of the magnetic beds that I was using, and then putting vinyl cut letters for company signage and stuff like that to attach to a door that would have to be removed later on. And this is the type of magnetic bed I would say that I had back then. Every once in a while, I have to use a 280 grit, I think it is what I have right now, 280 grit sandpaper, rough it up a little bit, and then clean it off with isopropanol. And then I don't have any problems with the bed adhesion.
Yeah, and Matt asked another question, and now we are getting an echo.
Echo? Whoa.
Yeah, I got an echo from you, I think.
From me?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, and yeah, Matt was asking about features that we don't have, and I would really like to have a printer with a where the bed moves just up and down to reduce vibration. That's the main problem that I have with the landscapes. It's maybe difficult to see, but see it here in the back.
The lines?
The lines.
Yeah.
So due to vibrations, I get those lines in the print, and I try to slow the print down to minimize this. But if I would have a printer that, like the Ultimaker, has a bed going down, and you don't get any movement of the bed, I think that style of printer would be a cool option for me. Like
it really depends on the actual print itself, because even if it's moving down, there's still sometimes vibration in the Ultimaker, and I've seen, especially with smaller supports, it will still break down. It actually will fall off because of the movement of the bed.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not still a perfect solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main reason why I want to build a hypercube, Martin.
Yeah. I would really love to create the rail core. That's a super massive build to minimize every issue.
And one type of printer I actually want is a resin-based printer. I still think it's a really nice technique, and the quality you can get from it is really nice. I don't want to spend that much money currently on a printer. I looked at the new printer Prusa announced a few weeks ago at Maker Faire. I think it's a really nice machine for a really decent price. I want to see how it's going. It's actually going to be released in January.
That price could be lowered a little bit. There are several people that are saying it should be under $1,000.
It might be, but I don't know. To be honest, I think it doesn't really need to be. I think the Moai is another great example that's a bit different. And that's, I think, around 1,700 euros or something like that. So basically in the same price range.
Yeah, but the Moai is bringing out a new one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bigger build volume for the Moai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have the Prusa because it has a bit bigger build plate than mine, because mine is really small, and to create bigger stuff. And the minimal layer thickness is, I think, up to 5 micron, which is really, really cool. I think that will create very fine details.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Pokon is asking about the drivers, stepper drivers, to turn the sound off, and that's dynamic drivers.
Yeah, I'd love to have them.
Yeah, you
But
can.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to set them up. This is my problem.
Yeah, I think you can get, if you have a printer that has a removable drivers, then you can get the drivers to put in.
Yeah, you can actually,
Right, I think you have to do some soldering, and you have to know what you're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I would really need somebody to show me, you know.
No,
I might, in the end, I might say, oh, it was not that complicated, but I don't know where to start, you know. I'm not into electronics at all. This is my big problem.
If you have the removable drivers from the motherboard, you can actually remove it and get the complete replacement for those, and just drop them in, and it works basically.
No, but you have to change the firmware, you know.
Yeah,
this is the problem. I don't know what to do there. I would need guidance.
Yeah, you only need to change the firmware.
Yeah, I haven't tried like changing the electronics. I just have the boards in the MK2 and MK3 printer, and then on the CR10, and everything is soldered on those boards. So
I have the same. My drivers are soldered on, and I don't really want to get them removed because that's making it much harder. So I don't have really much a problem. It's the sound of my printers, so I don't really care to get them changed.
Yeah, I don't mind the printing sounds as such. I try to get the fan noise down when the printers are not working.
Yeah, then you can buy Nocton, yeah, these nice fans.
Yeah, I have the Noctua fans on everything. Yeah.
I need to put one in on the Mosaic Palette Plus. That thing is making really loud noises from its fans.
Yeah, okay. I have the Palette 2 on order.
Are you too, Martin?
Yeah.
Me also. What did you buy, the standard one or the Pro one?
Yeah, the standard one.
I bought the Pro.
Yeah, okay.
I spoiled myself.
Yeah. I've never used a machine like this before, and I just decided to go with a cheaper option if it was something I would not really use. I didn't want to commit too much.
Yeah, I got the older Palette Plus, and so I didn't want to get a new one. It's still working great, so I didn't want to replace it for that price.
Yeah.
Martin, you ordered the Palette 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and either there are two versions.
Yeah, you do not have the multi-material unit on your Prusa, right?
No, I don't have that. Okay. I was thinking about getting it, and then we were talking about on Twitter the MMU 2 versus the Palette, and going back and forth.
Yes,
that was the best option, and I think Mitch 3D from the States convinced me to go ahead with the Palette. So
the Palette is really nice.
If you was to ask me, I would say get the Palette, because that is a machine that you can adapt to every printer.
Yeah, that's why I went for it too, because you can just drop it off on different printers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the MMU, you're restricted to the Prusa,
which I don't have. You know, this is the other reason I would have had to buy a Prusa.
That's a great reason to get a Prusa.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I just said I will buy a Prusa once it has a touch screen.
We can.
And I said to Joseph, you know, when I met him at the New York Maker Fair last year, I said I'd buy instantly a Prusa, but maybe with the next edition when it has a touch screen. I don't like this old click button thing there anymore, you know.
I still love it.
Yeah, you like it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
It reminds me of 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's like old fashioned, you know.
Oh no. I must say, when I got my Wanhao D9, I was having problems without end with that touch screen.
Really? Was it not? Is it not responsive?
No, you know, on my touch screen, if I want to see the information from temperature, how much time is left and everything, Either I have to be in the print modus, or if I want to change something, or if I want to preheat it, the first thing I have to do, I have to put an SD card in it. Otherwise, I cannot access that menu.
Oh.
Yes. Right now, for example, I have an SD card in, and in its standard position, I have print, utilities, settings, and level. If I want to preheat that thing, I have to go to print, and then I have the possibility to push status, and then in status, it'll show me what current temperature it has and everything. And then I can go into settings, and then I can heat it up the way I want to. With my old Wanhao i3, I had everything. All I had to just push the button, turn the dial, push it again, and I was already in the area that I needed to, if it had an SD card in it or not.
Yeah, but they could fix this. They could fix this with the firmware.
Well, so, I'm not sure. You know,
I think so.
Right now the problem that I have is I have to do 2 updates on it to be actual. The first update is in 2 halves. The first half you do over the SD card, and that's a display update of some sort.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the update, you have to take the SD card, you have to turn the printer on its side, open it up, and put the SD card inside.
So it's a smoothie board. It's a smoothie board. I have the same thing here on my Magician. It's a smoothie board. It works that way.
Yeah.
The firmware is on the mini SD card on the board itself.
Yeah, I have to do it like that. And when that update is successful and everything is finished and it's working, then I can do the second update on it, which will repair my ABL system from the software side. And I can do that from the normal SD slot.
Yeah, that's really strange that you have to use different types of slots on the machine to update different items.
Yeah, but that's the way a smoothie board works. You know, the firmware is on a small little SD card on the motherboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And you know, we're talking about a printer that weighs about 25 to 30 kilos.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the board inside. You know, it doesn't matter which side the printer has, because my Magician it's a tiny printer and it has the same board inside. You know. Yeah. So the size doesn't matter.
For me, sure. For me, it does, because I am not. Allowed to lift anything over 10.
Now I understand. It's just the bare size that you have to lift up and tilt around.
Lift that thing up, turn it over on its side, and open up the bottom plate so that I have access to that main board.
Yeah, you don't even have access to it. You have to open up the printer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's even more terrible.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But that's the only one update that you have to do like that.
Yeah. Okay.
The update afterwards, you can do that from the normal SD card slot that is on the side.
Yeah, I guess I'm spoiled by using the process just to have the USB cable running to it, and
yeah, I thought I could do that too with the USB cable.
Yeah,
Wanhao says no.
Yeah, that's strange.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know how many changes I've done to the firmware on the CR10. I have the 1.19 version of Merlin, and designing the mount I was showing you earlier, on the bed leveling sensor, and all kind of stuff I'm playing around with. I'm always running updates to that printer, and having to screw the chassis into pieces to get access to a car slot would be terrible, because I might firmware update it 10 times the same day.
Yeah, my CR10 is still basically the normal firmware. I didn't change, I think, anything on it. It's just stock, and that's it.
Yeah, I was really unlucky with mine. Mine was basically a piece of junk when I got it. Everything that could be broken was broken, and
No.
there were so many issues, and I've replaced and upgraded and changed out parts, and so it's
that's the way you get to know your printer, Martin.
yeah, that's
so, you know,
it has forced
it's a
me
disadvantage.
Yeah, it has been a good material for my YouTube channel to do all those projects on it. Initially, I just planned to have this printer to print out my landscapes, and I didn't have plans to do all kind of projects on the printer itself. But it has become a source of upgrade videos and project videos and such. So in that regard, it's been a great success. but
and I must say, lovely models that you're making there, Martin.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great fun to create it and doing it in Fusion 360, and I'm always learning how to do things in Fusion 360, and it's good fun. I feel I'm going to a point in Fusion that I can pretty much model anything mechanical I would like. So it just takes time to measure everything up, and when you have physical objects like the stepper motor and the extruder and the mount plate on the CR10 and all the things, my calipers are doing a good job measuring everything out.
Oh yeah. No, but I was talking about the paintings that you make, your landscapes.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Sonic. Yeah, I have the CR10S, and I have the Marlin version 1.19 on it. So, yeah, the landscapes are quite a entertaining project. I've never been any kind of artist, painter, or making drawings or anything like that. I can draw a face on a piece of paper with a pencil. Then I started with the landscapes and had great fun doing it, and it's quite relaxing, spending maybe half an hour or 45 minutes painting a landscape image.
Yeah, take a look here, Martin.
Yeah.
This is a lighthouse.
Yeah, that's
I painted this from hand. This is one of the first objects that I have ever painted.
Yeah, okay. It looks cool.
But you're really talented. I watched the video where you were painting it, and I think you have like a natural talent. Seems to be an artist in you that you didn't maybe know about yet.
I think I inherited that from my mother.
Ah, okay.
My mother, she worked on oil paintings that were really amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. But I must say, I'm really amazed at the work that I did there myself. I'm really amazed that it came out so nice.
I only painted one thing ever regarding 3D printing, and that's this thing.
Oh, that's the race benchy.
Yep, it is.
Cool. Does that really float?
It is, yeah. You saw it in Sweden, right? Did you see it over there? It was, we tried it, someone had one in Sweden at the 3D meetup.
I wasn't there when they were putting the boats in the water. Such a pity.
So yeah, so it's basically floating, and it's working really great. You need to modify or add some metal in there to have it properly balanced, but it's really working great.
Ooh, that's a nice benchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt was asking how much money I spent on my CR10S. Probably 3 times the original price for it. It has a lot of.
Oops.
I probably should have just built a railcore printer from the start.
No,
bought a lot of parts.
Modifying your printer is a great thing to spend your time on, I guess.
Yeah, I bought a lot of parts, and especially because when I got the printer, it was basically not working, and I had to buy a extruder and a power supply, and then I bought the Swiss micro hot end, and now I got the mosquito hot end. So parts are piling up, Noctua fans, and
so the mosquito, is it? How is it performing? I think it can go up to high temperatures, huh?
Yeah, you can get really high in temperature if you want to. I haven't tried to break a record, so to speak, with it. I don't have any materials that would require anything higher than 265 or 280 C.
Oh,
I've heard from 300.
Yeah, you can go over 300 with it. If you want to.
And while we still have Hawk here, take a look here, Ben.
Oh.
If I hold it at an angle, you can see that the eagle head, I think.
Yeah, we see it.
And I used a Sharpie so that you could read the H3DP on it. This is Ben's maker coin.
Yeah. It's a nice design.
It is a nice design. Yeah, I got that printed out this afternoon.
Yeah, so for my CR10, I haven't planned to print out some strange materials with the mosquito. The main reason I bought it was to support Slice Engineering. They were starting up this company and having this hot end, and I wanted to get it and promote it on my channel, and so I bought it from them. And when I was thinking about buying it, I saw a tweet that Dan from Slice Engineering, he was visiting Iceland with his wife, and so he brought it to my home. so I got it hand delivered to my home.
Oh, wow.
And we had a nice dinner, and I cooked a dinner for them, and then they went on traveling for a week around Iceland. So that was quite a good story to have him on. And we did a YouTube video where he explained everything about the hot end. It was a cool night.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to watch that. I haven't seen it yet. Nice.
Yeah, it's on my channel somewhere. It's somewhere in the pool of videos.
Has everybody heard about the Ultra Banshee that Palco from Palco Nerd Space is building now in his maker space? So if you are interested in getting into this too, you just please contact him over Twitter, and it's going to be, I think, 70 centimeters long, and I don't know how high, but it contains 319 parts. And I've already been very busy over the last few days. I've already printed around 16 parts for it. And yeah, so I always love these community builds. So these are the parts, for instance, here. And yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It was great fun to take part of the Friday Hangout community build on Earth. They had some projects also. I can't remember. We are the makers. They do like community builds.
Yeah.
And they were doing a really big statue.
Yeah, this dome. I already I also printed some parts for this new dome that they are going to assemble now, and also for this lady figure. No, we are Rosie. So I also printed some parts for that one.
Yeah, we are Roses. Yeah.
I love these community builds. Because it brings the community together, and people from all over the world just print parts and send them in, and then you make one big thing out of it. I think this really shows the community, what it's all about. It's nice. Yeah,
and I know Joe, the 3D Maker Noob, he did a community build with his. He made a model of Malta with a lot of parts, and he's gonna glue it on his wall, and he had people send in parts.
Yeah, but they were not only sending in parts to him.
Yeah, that was
lots of goodies, lots of sweet stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think he got a ton of
Really?
stuff.
He was
Yeah.
getting
Oh, God.
2 or 3 kilos of candy with each piece of plastic he got. So
Yeah. Oh my
people
God.
are, he's gonna be overflooded with candy for 2 years, I think.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it's nice, you know, when it really shows the community that we're a community.
I'm still waiting for somebody out in America to send me some Reese's.
Oh, you also like them so much?
Oh, I love those things.
You know
The
what?
last
Next,
time I had
when
them
I'm,
was in the early 70s.
you know, when I'm going to Murph next year, I will bring you some. Okay, I promise you.
That would,
Yeah. And then I try to visit you and then I hand deliver.
that would be nice. Hey, just let me know when you come and I'll make sure my apartment is cleaned up. And,
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah, and we have Tom joining in. Tom, you have audio?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
Tom,
cool.
how are you, my friend?
How's everybody doing? I've been watching it. I've just got back now, so sorry I'm late.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Punctuation's never been my thing though.
yeah, yeah. I hope your fireworks go up on time, though.
Yeah, been making things go boom all day.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, like if you've been watching, we started to talk about printer designs and what printers we have and how they are working for us. So if you would go through your story about what printers you got and what types.
Well, my first printer was XYZ Da Vinci Pro. I don't want to talk about that. That was just a mistake. And then after that, I got a CR10. And then ever since then, rep. I've got an Anycubic Delta. I really, really strongly recommend that printer to anybody that's sort of starting out and wants to buy a cheap Delta. That's the only printer that'll match my MK3 on PLA performance. And for the price, it's ridiculous. But I just like rep. I like the whole. I like the style of the machine. I like the ethos behind it. I'm really into it. Core XY is not something that I've got, but it is something that I do plan to get. Just so that I'm versed in sort of all different aspects of types of printer. I'd love a hang printer, but there's not much room for that at the moment.
Yeah, I'd love to have one of those too.
Yeah, you really have to have a separate room.
Yeah.
And no cats. I think the cat will destroy the cables.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Hypercube, that's a Core XY type. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I think if I would build a printer from scratch, it would be a Hypercube type. I think it's a good project to build.
It's like Country 3D. He did the printed Hypercube and the printed sort of MK2 style printer, like fully 3D printed, all the extrusions and everything. And with it being a Core XY setup, it gets fantastic prints. And then you've got to add to the fact that it's all the extrusions are printed, all the brackets are printed. Obviously, the hot end's not printed and standard hardware, but you get some good results out of that machine.
Yeah, it's a really amazing project, and he was. I watched his videos when he was doing the builds and printing out stuff. It was crazy to see it on Earth. You could see it. He brought it on Earth, and you could see it. It's a really cool project.
Well, I will be doing a lot of videos during my Hypercube build.
Yeah.
Might even be live too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry, I have a bit of a cough, so I forgot to mute myself. Yeah, so Tom, what secrets have you been working on? I saw some tweets. You are posting some secret marked materials.
I'll show you. I am. This is my third spool of a. Let me just cover that up. This is my third spool of a recent industrial release. This one requires you, well, either to have specialist filters or not spend 3 days inside where you're printing. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. Some of the stuff, and I've been printing some nylon, CF15 nylon. That's already released, but there's not a lot of prints out there in it. We've been printing some exhaust manifold, some turbo inlets, just some prints that Filamentum asked me basically if I could print these things out of it and go for it. One of them's quite interesting. It's going to use a full 600 gram spool of nylon, and only 110 gram of that is non-support material. So
Wow.
it's going to be quite an interesting print.
Yeah. Okay. And is it like engineering, like heat resistant, or?
Yeah, it's just like the nylon's pretty much similar to most nylons that exist, but it's the newer ones, like the new breeds of ASA and the sort of PVC type ones, the vinyls. They're really, really, really interesting. The reason being is that although they do print at higher temperatures and they are sort of more demanding on your machines, they are still printable on standard FDM machines. You don't need, on some of them, you do need higher temperatures, but I would call, for instance, a Proto MK3, I would call that a standard FDM machine where you don't have to, it's something you can purchase that's cost effective and that you can sort of print higher temp materials at home. Especially you, Martin, with your new bit of bling on your CR10.
Yeah, with the mosquito. Yeah.
I think you could just put 175 metal rod into that thing and print it.
Yeah. I really have to test out throughput of that hot end and print some. I think I should get a big nozzle and try to print something really fast and the high flow volume.
So Ben in the chat asked me if I could redesign any of my printers, what would I change and why? What I'd change is I'd redesign the MK3, MK2 Prusa family to take click in, click out hot ends like print cores, where you can buy E3D V6 with a 0.4 nozzle, a 0.8 nozzle, and 0.6, and you can literally just click on the side, click them in and click them out so that you've got instant tool change with a bit of Z height. The reason I'd like to do that is because I have 3 Prusas at the moment, all with different setups. They're all the same hot end, but one running a large nozzle, one running a hardened nozzle. And I'd like to have that adaptation in one machine where I can just grab the thing and click it in without it being a tool changer sort of printer where it's a four sort of tools that are all interchangeable at one, just to basically take a machine that is sort of mass market and make it more adaptable for what we print.
Yeah, so you could change out hot ends mid-print or
Well, not necessarily mid-print. I say that it would be fun, and I would definitely try that. But just so that, for instance, now I'm printing on that printer over there. I'm printing Ngen, and I'm doing it on a standard 0.4 E3D V6 nozzle. But earlier I was printing carbon fiber nylon, and that was on my MK2 because it's got a hardened steel nozzle. And I'd love to have been able to just print it on that printer just by literally clicking the same hot end into that printer and away you run sort of thing.
Yeah, so the tool changer from E3D would be perfect then from you that they showed off at different exhibitions.
Yeah, I like the tool changer. I don't. To me, it's not attractive in the way that it is for most people. A lot of people are sort of thinking adaptive manufacturing, sort of subtractive manufacturing, all in the same sort of process.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Whereas for me, I have my first sort of venture into multi-color, shall we say, multi-material printing was the FormBot IDEX system. And for me, nothing does 2 colors or 2 materials better than 2 independent extruders. It's just the way that the work is so much cleaner, even on a cheaper IDEX machine. It's a lot easier to make that machine perform compared to like the G-Tech A10M that I've just got recently. Because it's 2 in, 1 out, it was a difficult process to get that thing to work, any more so than any printer that I've used so far, purely because it was new to me. Whereas the IDEX system, it takes what you know and it puts it, and you just times it by 2. Basically, you do the same for the right or for the left. You apply your PETG knowledge to the left, and then your PLA knowledge to the right.
But it's not that easy because I have the CraftBot and it's IDEX, and I promise you, it's not that easy to get those 2 heads absolutely leveled next to each other. And the other thing is they're all metal hot ends. And then when you have them parking at one side, because maybe at the moment you're using head 1, and the other one parks at the right-hand side, and it has to keep constant on heat, on temperature. And then but I think that then the heat goes up, although the nozzle, the hot end is cooled. But I had some issues, with clogging. Since they brought out the new firmware now, it's getting better, but it's not as easy as you think, I promise you. It is also quite demanding, like the 2 in, 1 out. Both systems have the challenge.
A lot of the thing with the IDEX machine, especially the one that you're talking about, is without the firmware, it turns the fan down when it parks so that the heat can rise. Whereas you take the FormBot that I've got, as it parks the nozzle, it turns the heat off to it and it increases the fan, and it predicts when it needs to change the tool, and it heats back up. And also the Z height isn't mechanical, it's all software based. So you change the height of the nozzle per the software. So if one's too low and one's too high, you create a virtual Z offset. So for you, rather than having to level the Z offsets,
that one doesn't do it. You can only set the offset for both at the same time. I already suggested it to them if it would be possible to do that, but that would only work in the setup when you do dual color printing, and not if you do the copy models or the 2 printing at the same time, or where they're mirroring. That wouldn't work.
You can also
one at a time. You could adapt it in the firmware.
Yeah,
maybe they'll do it.
You can set it in S3D as well. You can use that. That's quite the dual extrusion wizards in Simplify 3D, especially when you apply it tool per tool. It's quite controllable as well.
Does it have it there? Because I'm using their slicer that
if you took that printer and break it down into 2 separate print heads, the left and the right, set the left up with the correct offset in.
I know.
And then do the same with the right.
Okay.
And when you combine that as 2 tools, rather than a dual extrusion cross tool, you apply it as 2 tools, it'll take those offsets out. It won't work on that machine in duplication or mirror mode, but on most of the newer ones, inside the way the firmware works, it will. But it's just that what I mean by it's better is it's cleaner. It wastes less material. And a lot of the time you can have issues purging from one hot material to another hot material, whereas IDEX takes that completely away from it. You just have to work on your bonding of the 2 materials in the process rather than in the clean out process.
So I think in the Craftware, they don't have this per tool set offset adaptation, but I haven't had a look into Simplify 3D yet.
I saw a CraftPot printing on TCT on the MVO stand, and that were an IDEX one, and it were printing like Veroni teddy bears, 2 of them at the same time, and the quality of that print was just amazing, and to see them going in sync was just fantastic. And it were built literally like a solid steel structure. It was a really big, heavy.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. It's an amazing printer. So at the moment, the left nozzle is still clogging a bit, or not clogging, but it has some imperfections. The consistency of the print is not that good, but the right nozzle is super. So, but the guy from the company I bought it from, they're really helpful. So they're trying to help me where they can. But the right nozzle is when it prints really amazingly, so it's getting better and better. And I think by next week I should have it all set up, and then I'm ready. I think I have to replace that hot end, that creates the problems.
Knack 3D Designs in the chat asked that have I ever used an Ultimaker, because Ultimaker do print core. That theory of the print core swap in, swap out from Ultimaker is great, but for me, Ultimaker machines, they're just not attractive.
Too expensive.
Yeah, and for what you see, like I saw a lot of prints at TCT that came off Ultimakers. Now, you can't judge every print buy a printer, because obviously there's a lot of human aspects. We don't know when it was printed. We don't know who buy. We don't know how fast. We don't know any of them sort of things. We don't know if it was a new material to them or out like that. But any print that I saw of an Ultimaker, for me, it weren't impressive. I don't have an Ultimaker hate, for instance, like that. I do see some people do some fantastic things, but I see the majority of people do the same sort of things on more cost-effective machines, basically. But the print car adoption that Ultimaker has, that looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the price you get for the Ultimaker, you can get much better machines. I think the great thing about the Ultimaker for businesses is having support and things like that.
Yeah, it's like a system, you know, you buy it and you know you can get the printer, there's this material dedicated to it, so you buy the whole package, you know, and then you have also the help that you get from these guys, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like a system, and yeah.
Are there many options of the hot ends for the Ultimaker that you can buy with different? Like, do you get a separate hot end for different nozzle sizes, or
yeah?
Or
I think you have 3 nozzle sizes right now: 0.25, 0.4, and 0.8. I think. And you have a different hot end type, one for normal filaments, PLA, ABS, things like that, and one specific for a PVA.
Yeah, so there's a separate hot end for the PVA.
Yeah, there is. I'm not sure what the difference is actually, but it's a different hot end. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think a lot of Ultimakers go into makerspaces and sort of industry type places, and I think a lot of them end up there purely because Ultimaker, not based on the machine, based on the fact that they have the sales and the representative around it. I know the machine is safe and it's good for that sort of aspect. I'm not knocking it, but I feel like that if other companies had that sort of makerspace marketing brand and that sort of backside to back that up, I think you'd see a lot more cost-effective machines in them sort of places. But I think when they target it and they have, I don't really know how to word it, when they have structure that they are aimed to support that market, I think if other printer manufacturers did that too, I think that you'd go from seeing in makerspaces, instead of seeing one Ultimaker S5, you'd see 3 CR10s, for instance, and 4 Prusas, as long as there was maybe even a company in between to back that up, a company that provides machines to makerspaces of all different brands, but then provides that backup support that you'd get like with an Ultimaker, for instance.
Yeah, so you're more buying into an ecosystem of partners that support it. And
exactly. Yeah.
That was what I wanted to say, but I didn't find the right word. It's an ecosystem, yeah. With all the help and, you know, the sales reps visiting you, pampering you, helping you, you know.
Well, you need to be big enough for that. I haven't seen a sales rep at all.
Yeah, they don't come over to your house and check everything out.
Well, it probably will kill me because how it's looking.
Yeah, you have to clean it up.
Oh yeah.
So maybe there is a space for somebody, sort of not a middleman, but an in between, somebody that can take on their industry knowledge of that market. They can test the printers out, sort of versed for that market, and then they can adopt and maybe even retail the machines themselves, offering the service package that comes after it. For instance, like when you buy an Ultimaker, you'd get the service package with it that comes for the makerspace. Maybe a company could offer, for instance, a Creality machine. Not that I'm saying that you should, a Creality machine, and then they can offer that same background service. And for what you save in the printer cost, then that'll be worth it because you could get more printers, again, that are adaptable to more different jobs at once.
I think for schools and makerspaces, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I know there was a startup company in the States called Venturi 3D. He was trying to build like a makerspace platform that would be a suitable platform for makerspaces.
I have a heavy heart for that Venturi project. The reason being is, at first I sort of thought, no, it's not. I don't understand what sort of market it is. And then I had a chat with Tinkers on Twitter, and Tinkers explained to me that what sort of market it was aimed at. And when I understood the market, I completely fully understood the printer. The problem is that it was too late, and the market that was advertised in, as in all the people that were shouting about that printer, were people like myself that wouldn't buy that printer. Because for me, that is the opposite of what I want from a printer. But for instance, if I was going to buy my Nana a printer and I wasn't there 24/7 to look after it and show her, then that is the printer that I'd buy, and that would make 3D printing as a whole more mass market, sort of kitchen worktop, click a button and you've got an egg cup and you've got a boiled egg ready sort of thing. I just think that the problem was that everybody that saw the printer wasn't the marketed strategy for that printer, which again, I can't say, oh, this is how he should have done it, because I really don't know. I just think the people that were there seeing the printer and talking about the printer were people that wouldn't have purchased that printer themselves.
Yeah, like it's not for the home hobbyists that like to tinker with their printers and have an open system they can play around with. So,
and it was good that it went from, you could buy it as a first printer with no experience, and it'd carry you right through to being an experienced printer, because it had the functionality to print all those materials. It had the correct hardware. It had a good team behind it. It had all of that. Again, I just think the market that knew about it was the wrong market to know about it. But again, it's hard to get into there. Like, I run a 3D printing show and tell Facebook group, and we don't really allow adverts on there. It's just more about makers sharing what they've done and how they've done it and so on. We don't mind companies posting pictures of their materials as long as they've printed something and it's not an advert with links back and that sort of thing. And we let Venturi post his Kickstarter on there because we believe that that was a sort of wider variety of makers of all shapes and sizes, so he could get some feedback. It wasn't sort of to push his Kickstarter, it was just to see if he could gain that sort of knowledge from that sort of whole market as a whole. But Facebook's a completely different world.
yeah. We don't have the main Facebook moderator Miles on this stream. He could tell you quite a lot of stories.
Oh, it's crazy. Rover in the chat, my email is filamentfrenzy@icloud.com. Boom.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not familiar with the IDEX system, but isn't that the system when you have one x-axis but two hot ends moving on the same x-axis?
Yeah, and they can move parallel to each other. They can move individually. So with one you can print, for instance, the support structure, and with the other one you can print the print itself. You know, so I want to try sellable support structures in the future, and dual I have already done. Yeah, that's a quite interesting system. At its core XY, so it would have the features that you want, because the bed is moving down and everything else, the tools, those are the ones that are moving, but the bed just goes down.
Yeah, okay. And the Sigmax is that type of printer with the two hot ends.
Yeah, the Sigmaxes and the Sigma R17, R19, R18, they're all IDEX, I believe. This is mine. This is the Formbot, and you have the two independent heads with a waste bucket at either side, and it's got a brush. And this, I didn't originally buy this printer because I wanted to buy a printer that was IDEX. I bought the printer because I wanted a GMAX style, big, heavy, high build quality printer. And then I saw the form box that was a cross between almost a GMAX and a Sigmax, sort of 2 for 1. And for me, it's fantastic. Now, the only thing I'd say about that printer is that because it's IDEX, I don't use that printer for its size. If I did 2 color prints, for instance, I've got the MMU2, I've got the Palette Plus and the A10M color mix, so I've got quite a few options. If it was 2 color, 2 material, I would only use that printer, just purely because of how it does what it does. It's like it's more adapted for the job because of the way it moves, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this one has the bed moving back and forth.
Yeah, this is rep wrap. This is a bed moving back and forth, and it's 400 by 400 by 500. It has Formbot unique hot ends. It's not a clone of E3D, for instance. On the Raptors and stuff they do clone the hot ends. They do even use a genuine logo on the website of E3D, I believe, but they're not genuine parts. But this hot end's completely different. It's something I've never seen before in any of my printers. It uses regular sort of computer monitor cables for the cabling over the top. It's got linear rails. It's got ball screws. It's well, if you check it, it's a tank. It literally don't move. But it's a really good quality printer. You can print small things, like really make it with Calvin. Once sent me a SLA train that he designed, and we printed it on that in hi-fi blue Proto pasta, and it printed it cleaner than most things that I've got, purely because it's so strong. You don't have much vibration through it, and especially when you sit it on a rubber frame, it just does as you're told. The only thing that I've ever had with it is that I've snapped the BL Touch because it's in a bit of a precarious place. But the FormBot has the similar issues to Cat. The BL Touch only works for single print mode. It doesn't work for dual extrusion. So basically, you manual level the bed off the right extruder and then use the BL Touch to bring the left extruder up or down off of that. If the machine's not adaptable like that, then it's a hard process.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about before. So the fine tuning is what takes really, really long. But once you got it, it's great.
But there's all swings and rounds. Like the Sigmax, Ian irblinx that's normally in the chat, he's got a Sigmax. Some of the stuff that comes off it's fantastic, and sometimes he's having a nightmare with it. Just like the same sort of experience I have with the FormBot or I have with the A10M. He's had that with that machine. So a lot of the time it's process related rather than sort of price and machine related, because not spending all that money is not always the best sort of option.
What's the price for that printer you have?
The FormBot.
1,800, huh? From what I remember, 1,800 US.
Yeah, that's what mine's 1,800 US. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Do you also have the laser with it? Did you also buy the laser?
No, I don't have the laser. I have had a laser on a previous printer, and the laser broke the printer. The dust, the remedies, all the rubbish that came from it. Now with the FormBot, for instance, I'd sacrifice a cheap printer and put a laser on it just because I'm not bothered about damaging it. But that thing, it's like, I don't know, I really like it. It's one of those printers that I use it all the time, other than when I'm on stream, because with the nozzles are changing, it's a lot of noise, there's a lot going on, and it's a good thing. But I'd recommend it to anybody. There is a lot of, like the Hicktop Joale 3 that's released recently. 3D Maker who featured it. I think he'll have a review coming because he's got the printer. But that is basically, it's a CR10 with 2 hot ends and a linear rail to hold the 2 hot ends on. And I believe that's going to be around $800. So that's just showing that the technology is the way forward, and the price is coming down. Because if you can make a 400 by 400 by 500 with high quality parts, that's $1,800. You can make a 300 by 300 by 300 with Chinese type parts like we buy on other printers for a lot less. And I think a lot of companies are bringing us all the options, like Creality. I would imagine that Creality would do the single nozzle, the 2 in 1 out, and then I believe they'll also do an IDEX machine after seeing the Hicktop. The reason being is so that they can offer and cover all markets, because they can.
Yeah, have you seen anyone use the dual color Creality printer with good success? The initial prints I saw was not very good. Having a lot of it.
I've seen some okay ones. I've seen some from Neris. Neris did some quite decent prints. The thing for me with that machine is that I won't comment on how it went wrong, but it went wrong the way that YouTubers got them before they were ready for sale and this sort of thing, and how it were a beta machine and it won. I think that was just a nightmare. I think that made everybody instantly be, oh, how does it print? How does it perform? How does it work? Because sometimes when those situations don't happen at the start, it makes it sort of an easier path for the printer into it. But people, because of that situation, are bound to question it more than they would if that hadn't happened originally. But I just think it's a step in the right direction. I think bringing multicolour, multi-material to more cost-effective machines can only be a better thing, because the more people that do it, the better the technology will get, and the cheaper it'll get, essentially. Like if you look at the palette, it went from £900 to £500, and it offers you more things. That just shows you how far sort of things have come.
Yeah, I think with the CRX, the Joel and Angus both got those pre-production units, and they had quite a number of issues. It was maybe not good for Creality to send them those units.
My OneHow D9 was also not a good idea from OneHow. If they would have told me they're sending me a beta unit, then it would have been a lot better for them with my videos.
Yeah, that's definitely that'll be a killer for the product to not.
Yes, it is.
Not to say that it's a beta unit, because if you're gonna do a full review on your channel and it's just a work in process and you don't know it's a work in process, then it's maybe not gonna be a really nice video review.
I'm not sure if you saw all of my videos about the One-How D9, Marteinn.
No, I haven't.
Back in March and April and May and June. But you know, if you watch some of those videos, you can see, and you would probably say, "Oh my God, they definitely sent on a beta unit."
Yeah, okay. I have to
Yeah, I think what mine's point to is that, for instance, a beta unit, it can't be a review unit. The reason being is because it's a beta unit. It might change, something might happen. So you could focus an opinion around something that's not actually going to be there when it's true. But on the other hand of it, for instance, I don't think these big YouTubers like Joel, Angus, and so on, and Joe and Tom Sanladder, I don't think those guys have got time to beta test machines. But on the other hand, I can't think of anybody better to put a machine in the hands of before people like us buy that printer, so that they can have input on it. But I think that has to go through not a paid channel, but I think that you can't just expect someone like Joel, for instance, to send him a printer that's a beta unit, and Joel say to you, right, you need to change this, and this, try this, try that. And then they have this fantastic machine, and then they release it, and then there's a review done off of that machine. I don't think it's fair to ask those guys to do that. I think they're busy enough as it is. But I do think there's
already received one.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. But I think it's a good idea that before these units go out and they're in full production, that people like 3D Maker Noob and Joel and those guys get their hands on them, and that we can see them, and that we can go from there, and they can put input into it. Because if anyone could put input into it, it's those guys. They get so many printers through their hands every day. They talk to so many people. It's just general. A lot of the time, it's just the way that it's just simple things that can ruin a machine, like just the user experience of how it goes. It's like the ANET A8, for instance. The user experience was shocking. The results you could get in the end were fantastic, and the knowledge that you took from that were amazing. It's just that's not how it was sold. It was sold as a kit in a box that printed, and that's just not what you got.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as long as they declare it as a beta machine, you know, then everybody knows what they're going to expect.
Exactly.
But it will still be fun to watch, though, you know. So.
Yeah, I think that is key. That there has to be a good line of communication of what is the purpose of this delivery, and why are they gonna, like Joe? I think Joel said that if he would take the time to beta test a unit for a company, he could do that, but he would put a price on it because he's running a business.
And that's fair enough. Imagine if he did it for one company for free, and then 10 other companies contacted him at once. It's like, it's crazy. It's I got a bit of slack the other day in my MK2, not my MK2, my Multi-Material 2. Two of the gears that came were out of spec. So what that meant was that it pushed the filament at a different rate, and over the length of the Bowden tube, what was a 0.2 of a millimeter difference made like 20 centimeters difference in the whole path. So it was difficult to calibrate. Now, that's an outside source. And if you imagine, before we even continue about how many units he sold, before it were released, he pre-sold 10,000 units times five gears. That's a lot of gears to measure. So somebody said to me, oh, it's like a beta machine. It shouldn't be out for release, and so on and so forth. Whereas I don't look at it like that. I look at it that they've got, say, 150,000 gears where a couple of them might be out of spec. What do? Do you measure each one? Do you control that source? Or do you use what you know in-house and you change the firmware so that you can calibrate each one length by length, so that then it doesn't matter if your gears one's 3 times bigger or one's smaller. You've allowed for that. But again, when we're at them constantly, ship it, and then something comes like that early and people jump on them saying, oh, early release, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. I don't really agree with that sort of thing, because that must have been a headache that they've jumped on and they fixed before anybody even knew about it.
Yeah, so they're making a firmware fix to
what you do is each
get around this quality control
There's 5 feeds. There's 5 feeds coming in. So you calibrate the first feed so that it comes down, and you tell it to stop, and it'll stop just above the Bondtech gears, and you push the button on the MMU, and that will bring the material down, and you align it perfectly with the Bondtechs. So if all those gears are the same size, then naturally every filament would hit the same point. But if the last 2 gears, or any gears, for instance, are smaller or larger, you'll get an insufficient feed because the distance travelled and pushed won't be the same.
Yeah.
So what Prusa's doing is they're allowing the firmware to be changed so that you can calibrate each length, so that you bring the first length down to the gears, the second length. Doing the first length, the whole process is it's a 40-second process. It's really not difficult. And to do 5, it would be probably a 4-minute calibration at most. So then that takes away any external sources. It's just sometimes a lot of people jump on companies for, oh, it's a beta machine. That's what I've heard. I've heard things like that, and they'll talk to me like it's my company, like I'm Joseph Prusa. Well, no, I bought that machine and I waited a year and I had an issue and I understood, and I'm not. I am a fanboy because of the respect and the machines that's earned, not from, oh, he sent me this free, he sent me that free, because nobody sent me out free. I pay for it, and if it's not paid for, it's stated that it's free. I just think that things like this can happen, especially when you're talking to account 10,000 units, 150,000 gears. That's a lot of gears to make sure that a 0.1 of a mil on. Whereas
and even if they are doing,
and then learn from that.
And even if they are doing the quality control, there still will be difference between those gears.
Exactly, yeah. Just from caliper to caliper, for instance, from laser measure to laser measure.
It never will be perfect.
Yeah, so it's a drive gear on
it's just basically it's a hop gear. It's just there's 5 hop gears, and 2 of them are just slightly out of spec. I've heard maybe 4 people with the same issue. But again, someone asked me why my multi-material print were only printing 3 colors, so I told them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Walter, Country 3D, he was talking about this issue as well.
Yeah.
I think he got replacement gears sent to him.
Yeah, I got replacement gears too. I asked them, and they've sent me 5 in replacement, and all 5 are absolutely perfect. From my calipers, they are not even 0.1 off. And they're a high quality, high machine gear. I just think sometimes it's external sources like when you that let you down. But again, when you just look at Prusa as a whole, look at each machine, look at how many MK3s were sold, look at how many stepper motors are on an MK3, look at how many stepper motors are on that when you add a multi-material. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Look at how many are actually broken.
What's that, sorry?
Look at how many are actually broken or wrong.
Exactly.
It's a really small percentage.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact is, though, when you look at that small percentage and you consider that giant number, when you put those numbers down and you look at them, it's like it's crazy. It's a crazy thing to look at.
Yeah, it's incredible amount of the number of printer he's putting out from his factory. It's crazy.
And it's like when you see the inconsistent extrusion thing that sort of spread like wildfire. If you look at the whole amount of machines that were sold and the amount of machines that featured it, it was, honest to God, it was a drop in the ocean from the numbers that I've read and that I've seen on forums and stuff. It was, to us, it seemed like a massive thing because it's there, it's in your face, it's on Twitter, it's spoke about, it's talked about. But if you looked at the whole machine range from what it sold and what were affected, it were nothing. It were absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and do you know what was the source? I know it was the Bondtech gears. Something to do with that.
For me, I saw it when I first built my printer, my first MK3. I saw that inconsistent extrusion. That printer had a few other issues, so that printer went back to Prusa, and they returned me another one. Again, that were a paid printer. I went through regular support channels, and I messaged them with the help. They tried to get me through it. That's how I actually met Shane from Prusa. That guy helped me out in the chat. And it were very informative. I was very stressed out. I'd waited a long time for it, and it wasn't what I wanted. And it made me feel happy, it made me feel confident about what to do and so on. And when the new one came back, again, slightly inconsistent extrusion. And for me, it were all just down to alignment. It was down to tension of the Bondtechs and down to the alignment. But the fact of what Prusa did, that inconsistent extrusion is seen on all printers. Every printer you've got, if you light it straight down and you look at that harsh angle, you will see what was dubbed inconsistent extrusion. You will see that on every printer. But I think that sets them apart, that they bought all these different printers. They bought Anycubics, they bought Ultimate, they bought everything anyway, and they tried it on every printer. And I think that just shows you what what they did, but there were other companies that didn't do that. That again still had the same issue. So, but it's because you see it, and Prusa is the easy one to sort of jump on. People jump on it, in my opinion. These are all my opinions, obviously. I can't speak for everybody else.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of featured on YouTube and on Twitter pictures, and a lot of people in the forums posting like those when you have the light on a special angle. And
a lot of the issue was that there were single wall cubes. They were printed too fast. There were harsh lighting printed down on them, and they were printed in a PLA that shipped with the kits that showed every single flaw in the world. It's like a silk. It's made by Filament PM, Prusa Silver, and it was like a silky, show every flaw, show every bump that there is sort of a thing. You did see it to other extents on other PLAs. I'm not saying that you didn't, but it was worsened on that. And it spread like wildfire. It really did.
Yeah.
So you guys, I have to leave you now because unfortunately I have to work tomorrow. I'm taking care of an opinion leader that is giving a course at the company I'm working for. And so I have to go to bed. Here it's 10 minutes to go until 12 o'clock. And so, yeah, Dawn is laughing. Yeah, so I wish you a good night. And I will watch the rest tomorrow when I have time. So it was a fun evening with you. And yeah, have a nice time.
See you later, Kat.
See you next time.
Kat.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining in.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sleep well.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Oh, I might in about 2 hours.
Yeah, it's
I'm probably going to sleep soon as well. I was at the office at 6:30 this morning, so.
Yeah, okay, so it's been a long day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's an advantage for me being retired.
Yeah. Well, it was my own fault. I made a mistake last night, so I needed to be early to fix it.
Yeah, before you got caught.
Well, not really. They already knew. I told them.
Yeah, okay.
It's a production machine, so I wanted to make sure it was fixed before everything started working.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for joining in, and it was good to have you in the start. I was worried that I would be the only one in the start to the stream.
Yeah, all Martin's regulars let him down. I put the stream on and I looked and I saw Martin sat there and I thought, I better hurry up. Now, if I could ask a question to all of you guys on stream and people in the chat. A few weeks ago, I spoke to Question Mike and I asked him to ask a question, if he could, on Twitter about how we can use our 3D printers to make people's lives better. Unfortunately, I worded that question wrong. Every time I mention wanting to do something with my printer to help somebody, everybody mentions to me about 3D printing prosthetics, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that's a great idea. But that was the answer that came from everybody. I mean, literally 99% of the answers was the same thing. Now, I believe that's great, and I don't want to sound like I'm coming across wrong and I'm saying I don't want to print prosthetics. That's something I'd love to do. But I wondered if there's anything that you guys have done or that you could think of doing that could benefit somebody else, like benefit like a charitable organisation, a way that we can use the material and the printers that we've got to make somebody else's life better, or to earn some money that we could then give away to charity, for instance. What can we do to sort of open that charitable market up to what we do?
I have been personally printing for people that are less fortunate around here, and for children to have something to play with. I print a lot for them, and they come to me to ask now to have something. I think that's a great use of printer and plastic.
And how do you get, for instance, those contacts? How do you get that circle of people asking you? Is that from within your community, or did you put something out there to say, I'm willing to do this, guys? Anybody interested?
Well, yeah, it was from something else, and I already knew a few people from there. Right. And at some moment, I just had a Pikachu within my bag, and I showed it to some of the kids, and they loved it. So then I started printing more Pikachus and things like that, and just bring it there. I was visiting like weekly or something. So that's how I started doing that.
That's awesome.
That is a nice idea.
Yeah, I have a similar story in that regard because my wife is a preschool teacher, and in her preschool they have a lot of kids with different disabilities, and she was taking like the benches and some of the other prints that did like they're all single color and but can be used as a toy, and they were using the single color parts or printed some dinosaurs and some figures and boats, and they were using that to teach kids with some issues that they were like I'm trying to find the English word for it, but kids that are normally behind in school, and yeah, they have autism, and that's the word I was looking for, autism, and she could use, or the teacher could use those single color toys to teach the kids, because when they had a normal toy, it's a very multicolor, bright colors and all this kind of stuff. But for those kids, it was just important to recognize the shape of a car or shape of I printed out like all kind of fruits. They could have a banana, an apple, an orange, and whatnot, and that would benefit them to recognize objects, because it was simplified, just single color and simplified objects.
Well, imagine a website with all those models, all those models that you just mentioned, by, say, for instance, an autism sort of affiliated brand where they're somebody that's already aiding in like learning tools for people with autism, where you could go onto a website and you could select from one of 25 models, for instance, that would aid the learning process, and you can print them out and you can send them in. Something that, because obviously there is a lot of people with autism, so there would be use for more than just one set of tools in a classroom. You could then have some that the kids could take home, for instance, and that sort of thing. And so I'm looking for something that's mass market, where we could literally just do like that. We could choose something, print it, and send it off to an address, and that benefits somebody.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be a use case for 3D printing to use in that field.
Yeah, definitely.
Pokon Nerdspace asked me a question. How did you fix the reversed motor issue with the Ender 3 extruder when you changed the arm? I didn't. I just changed the arm, mate. I just kept the extruder there, took the arm off, got rid of that one, and then put the anicubic one straight on top with the motor facing the same way. I hope that's what you mean. I swapped on the Creality machines on the Ender 3s. The extruder, the spooling sits at the top, and the extruder down here is plastic, which was, for me, it was really annoying. And the reason it were annoying was my original CR10 came with a yellow version of that, and within about 150 hours, it wears out. And that's because the filament cuts a wedge and it tightens the path so that you get under extrusion, basically. So there was an all-metal upgrade that came out. So you bought that for your CR10 regular, and then on the newer ones that came out, it were metal. So then when they built the Ender 3, I get it's a budget machine, but when you order as many of those extruders and you have them on current machines, there's no excuse for putting a plastic one on it, because I got an Ender 3, and within less than 100 hours, it had that issue. So I have quite a lot of anicubic machines, and I just took the metal ones off the anicubic, but they're reversed, so they're right-handed instead of left-handed, and just spun it round, and that works so much better, because the way the filament comes in now, it goes in, and you've still got that tidy all in one frame, because a lot of these companies, for me, forget about that spool holder. They'll build this frame, like take the Prusa. You've got all that fantastic, everything's built in, it's all together, it's a nice machine, and then you've got a click-on spool holder so your filament sits on top, whereas there's other machines that have that ethos where it's all built in, it's all done, but then you've got this spool holder, or like TiVo, they don't even send a spool holder. TiVo, you get a roll of filament and a printer and no spool holder. You get one on SD card, so you like put your fingers in it and push print and stand there for 2.5 hours. For me, that's
yeah. They don't have a basic one that you can have on a table.
Oh yeah, no, I do. I've got one here. But what I mean is, when you're buying a printer, either A, it should come with a spool holder, or B, when they just put a spool holder in, it should match the ethos of the machine. So rather than thinking, oh yeah, you can just mount it on top of a 2020, mount it up there and print with it for 300 hours and see if it wears away one of your parts. Because there's no way Creality tested the Ender 3 in-house with that spool setup for more than 200 hours on one machine. It's just not, they didn't do that. Otherwise, they'd have seen that issue. Yeah,
I think I've seen pictures of even the metal one is wearing down.
Yeah, it does. It's the way that it spools from top. You can put an arm on. But again, 3D Maker Noob on a live stream of the day mentioned about, like, I have the pallet scroll wheel and it clicks onto the stepper motor. If you could fashion a spool holder that fit on a standard stepper motor on a NEMA 17 upon an at 45-degree angle, it'd go up and down with the Z-axis. Whether it could handle that way, whether it could not, I don't know. But I think a lot of the time, a lot of print fails and stuff come from either layer adhesion or bed adhesion or the way the filament actually spools. I think there's a lot to be said about spooling. Like my Formbot, when I swapped to the Tinker spool holders, the print quality went up tenfold just because of the way that the filament spooled, and it was less of a drag and less of a pull for the extruder to get it in there.
It makes so much of a difference to have less drag to get the filament in.
And I think if they put that knowledge of that less drag into the machines, like for instance, when you see a CRX come out, which is an Ender 3 built in, then work on a spool holder that works with that setup, because my Ender 3s work great with the Ender 3 here and a spool holder sat at the side because of the angle that it feeds the filament in. Now, if they provided a spool holder that did that, it's bang for your buck. It's out of the box performance. You don't need all else. You don't have to buy a spool holder. You don't have to adopt a spool holder. Because I remember when I first had my first 3D printer, I didn't know about tension. For me, I put my first spool on the side because I didn't have a spool holder, and I printed it sideways like that, and I then put the spool holder on the printer. And the spool holder was designed by a Thingiverse user. It wasn't even one that came with the printer.
Yeah.
I had a similar problem, Tom. The spool holder that came with my Wanhao D9 was about that wide. You could put a 50, a 30 gram, a 100 gram. You could put on up to the edge a 750 gram spool of filament. But I have spools that are so wide with 1 kilo on it, and I had to use a table holder until 2 days ago. And then I was looking through Thingiverse. I found a spool holder that is this long with the same nut size that the CR10, that the D9 normally has. I printed that thing out, and see there, I could put that thing on. Now I can put on any roll of filament that I have.
Well, I have these like temporary little spool holders, and I have them everywhere. So for instance, now, if you look in that corner, that printer that's printing is coming off of a giant spool on the wall up there.
Oh.
And that's a 2.3 kilogram engine spool. And again, it's just because of the freedom of the way that it comes down. But I spool from manner of different places now for all different machines. But that's my biggest plus from direct drive. It opens up the possibilities of the way you spool so much better.
You're printing the engine filament right now?
Yeah, that's a Engine Prusa 3D Orange.
Yeah, question. With that engine filament, what temperatures do you have to use?
I'm printing now at 240 with no fan. It all depends what you're printing. For me, if I'm printing a functional part like that, 240, no fan. If you want to print something that's got overhangs, like, I don't know, just a regular dinosaur, for instance, then print it hotter, put some fan on, and it works great. Too much fan, you'll get cracking. It's a nice material. For me, I don't print in colour fab. I think a lot of the materials are more expensive than materials I use, that I currently used and did use at the time, so there's no reason to replace them. I use this engine because I got it free, because when I got the discount voucher from Multimaterial 1 to Multimaterial 2, I got a $50 voucher which paid for that spool, and I use it for upgrades for anything to do with the Prusas. So like when I'm doing these new coloured screens like this, I'll use it for those just because it matches the rest of the printers. So it's a spool that I just sort of have on hand.
Okay. No, I'm
and
just
then if you get the engine looks, we don't talk about engine looks on this stream.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm just asking about the engine filament because I have a couple of rolls that were sent to me. And
I see it. When I was a kid, one of my favorite games was I Spy with My Little Eye. And I Spy with My Little Eye, a giant box sat outside of Marteinn, and I recognise that box.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the Colorfab XT material that I'm printing out those brackets. I really like that material for mechanical parts. And it's really tough. You print it quite hot, and it really fuses to the PI sheet. I actually damaged the PI sheet on my MK2 printer while getting one of those off. But it's a really stable material.
When I first printed PETG on my MK2, I have the Z offset set so that 9 times out of 10 you can just like grab the part and pull it off. It's just that sort of easy. And I printed some PETG, and I got the layer. I printed a bed level test, and I got the Z height perfect. And the next day I went to grab the vars off the thing, and I nearly took the printer with the bars, so like MK2 attached to bars.
Yeah, yeah, it tends to stick really well.
Magic-Goo, I use Magic-Goo as like people say, as an adhesion solution. I use it as like an interface layer, like a separation gap.
Yeah.
I use it on glass. Magic-Goo, you don't have to reapply it. It's great. It works fantastic. But on PEI, you have to sort of reapply it every so often. And I'll only use it on PETG in certain circumstances, but always on TPU. But TPU prints great on blue tape with talcum powder. But when people see an MK3 with blue tape on it, they're mean to me.
Yeah, people go bananas if they see blue tape on the Prusa.
Yeah. So I went to TCT. We went to TCT show, and there were a Prusa there, and I saw a guy buy a Prusa kit, and I was like, "No way, can you buy Prusas here?" And he was like, "Well, there's none left, but you can buy this one that's printing." I thought, brilliant, so I bought it, and I bought some filament that were there. I got that, and I came home, and obviously I got a new printer, and I got 3 or 4 new rolls of filament, and filament's right exciting for me, so I posted a few pictures of it and of the machine and that sort of thing. And then some guy messaged me to tell me, "Oh, you're like sponsored by Prusa now." No, people. It's like it twists in certain people's minds. It's not. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And then like the hate, like I see people. A lot of people hijack my tweets about somebody to get their point across to, for instance, a company in question, but they forget about the person that's done the tweet, the person that's gone to work, that's earned the money, that's then bought the upgrade, that's then done the print, that's then had the issue, that's then got the customer service. It's not that person's fault that company's helped you more than what you feel they've helped you. So sometimes hijacking a thread, yeah, you might get what you want out of it, but you've got to remember there's always somebody behind that thread.
Yeah. Tom, you talking about this type of tape?
No, that's fake. That's not real. Scotch blue. We don't do clones around here.
Isn't that now like this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul. However, as you can see, mine has been used up a little bit.
No, I think this is just a brand new one because the old one was empty.
Yeah, blue tape is a really good adhesion.
Wait a minute, that what Paul has is a clone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Tom, that what Paul has is a clone. If you look at mine, you can see where it's coming from.
Yeah, I actually never used blue tape.
Oh, mine.
This is a good trick. This is a good trick. I even put this on my magnetic bed when I have large prints that I have to print on. You know, sometimes I have to use this, and I have my prints. They stay on there perfectly.
Yeah, I use
that flexible plate. I can get them off easily too.
Do you know? Sorry to just interrupt the blue tape thing. NAC3D Designs in the chat's just reminded me of something. There's currently a Chinese company or manufacturer of filament. I can't remember his name, but I'm sure Nac will type his name in the chat in a second. And if you notice that this name, you'll notice it, I guarantee it, on Twitter. Every time anybody posts something, this gentleman's commenting about, oh, you should try this rainbow filament. Oh, you should try this filament. And it's blatantly a company advertising their Amazon shop. And what I don't understand is, like, I see Nat 3D Designs do some amazing things, with big brand material that's expensive compared to some cheaper versions that these companies are trying to advise that he buys. Why not just send him a roll? Why not just send a roll of filament to the guy and let him print with it, and then use that as your marketing rather than namelessly and shamelessly putting a link on every single thread or comment that you see from everywhere? No, it's not Splendid Practical Printing. Splendid's a good one. They're okay.
Tom, is his first name Tim?
Does his second name rhyme with Postman?
No,
it's not him. It's not him then.
Okay.
It's someone like Luigi or something like that. He's a young gentleman, and he puts random things like Chris Russell, I think it was, or somebody posted a picture of a Benchy, or it might have been the Lightspeed. He posted a picture of a Vertigo Galaxy Benchy, and this guy put, "Oh, fancy printing in sparkly black filaments," and it didn't relate to the thread. And there's a lot of that I see at the moment of people just sort of dropping a link. Oh, you should try this, buy this on something that's not related to anything that does with it.
Okay. No, because I have a Facebook contact to one Chinese. I'm not sure if he's the manager or if he's the CEO or what he is, but he contacted me over Facebook and sent me an Amazon link and said, "Yeah, these are the filaments that we have right now. We're looking for somebody to test and review them." And I told him, "No problem. Send me a couple of rolls."
There's a lot a minute on Facebook. I have to, obviously with the Facebook group, I have to go through it, and there's a lot of them a minute that want a review, and you go pay for it, and then you get it refunded later. That I don't quite understand that myself. Same as G-Tech. Chris Russell, Practical Printing, he's in the G-Tech Facebook group. He's quite an active member of that community. He likes those machines, and he does good stuff with them. And he sent me a link to say that they were looking for some reviewers or some testers in the UK. So I went onto the thread, and I thought, oh, it'll be one of those sort of you buy it and you get it refunded later. And it actually wasn't. It was just they was looking for somebody, and I just put a comment on there, and I said to him, I don't do reviews. I do showcase printers and do prints and build profiles. Here's a link to my Twitter, and they agreed to send me one. And a lot of that, for me, that's how it comes, because I get contacted from a lot of Chinese company, and I feel like I have a responsibility myself for what I say yes and what I say no to, because free filament is great. But if you say yes to every single thing that's out there, A, you'll be inundated, and B, there's a lot of stuff out there that's just blatant copies. They'll see someone else doing something great and they'll just do it themselves. And from the background that I come from, like in fireworks, where people do exactly the same, the company that I work for they've done it for themselves from the ground up for nearly 40 years. Like every single firework from the ground up it is their own, is our own. And people, you'll see next year, their fireworks are based around somebody else's, for instance. And a lot of filament companies do that. Like you say, Filamentum don't own grey and they don't own sparkle, but the vibe of Vertigo grey creating a hype, they do own that, and people jumping on the back of that is the type of thing that I don't like. Be it initiative. If a Chinese company said to me, we've got this sparkly grey filament here, will you try it? It looks just like Vertigo. Then I'd say no. But if they said, we've got this here where we've seen Vertigo and we noticed they want a red type version, so we've made a red version, what do you think? I'd try it, because they've took what someone else did and then made it their own.
I bought 2 rolls of filament from Das Filament. I think you know the company or know the name.
With a plastic spool, as if you got a plastic spool.
No, I ordered it with plastic spool because I do not have a master spool.
I don't use master. I'm only joking. I don't use master spool.
I know what you mean. But this is supposed to be their vertical gray. I'm not sure how good you can see that right now. I'm trying to hold it as close as possible to the camera. But, I mean, it is a dark gray, has a silver shine in it. But that's what they're calling as their vertical gray.
The people like what? But what do they call it though? You see, they'll probably call it what, space gray or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. You know, I sent them an email asking them, is this supposed to be just like the vertical gray? I got an answer back, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, guys, I'm going to grab some sleep.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
Vertical grey. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
See you next time.
Yeah, vertical grey.
Chris Russell, Practical Printing, said it in the chat. He just absolutely creased me with that. But it's like fibrology. Fibrology did vertigo grey. They copied vertigo grey and then called it vertigo grey. It's like, who even does that?
Yeah. But, you know, that was a gray that I've been looking for, a darker gray. Yeah. You know, almost black. And
Galaxy Black by Proto.
yeah. Would be nice. But I don't see the reason why I should pay 30 euros for a roll of filament that is only coming with 1 kilo.
From where?
From Prusa.
I thought it was 26 euros.
Yeah, then you got the postage on top of that.
It's coming to Amazon soon as well, hopefully, so that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, shipment from Prusa is quite a lot.
Well, for me, I've never had. For me, the shipping, it's reasonable. I think it was £6, £6 shipping for my filament from Prusa.
Oh, that's nice.
Anytime I bought something, like when I bought a smooth PI sheet and a giant roll of three big rolls of filament. I think it were £6 delivery, which again, it's not fantastic. Obviously, you're paying for delivery, but it's still reasonable to say where it's coming from. Though, within the firework world that I'm in, a firework, when it goes on a delivery carrier, is not a firework, it's an explosive, and that means money. So when I see these things with filaments, I don't see it as a massive thing, because in the world where we come from, that's insignificant. It really is. Like, we can ship a spool of filament-sized firework for £80 in the UK somewhere, and that's how bad it really is. So when it's £3 or £4 for a roll of filament, it's all right.
Yeah. Why does no one done the blueberry filament?
Burberry.
Burberry. It means Burberry, like patch quilt tartan filament. I told you he's mental. That guy. He's mental. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, Chris is a crazy person.
He challenges me. He challenges me more than anything. Like, I once printed a lattice cube and like to torture test the TiVo, and Chris wasn't happy with that. Chris sent me a link to a lattice cube with a benchy and a gnome all integrated with inside it. Right, try this next. and the things that the guy comes up with, like we're working with the A10M and we were talking about virtual extruders in S3D. Because you can only have 6 extruders, so you can set virtual extruders in the firmware, assign each one to a mix rate, and then get the different mix rates up the vase, for instance. And straight away he started pulling the firmware apart to allow for 16 virtual extruders per tool. So that were 32 tools. And then if we got it into Cura, he could open it up even more. And just stuff like that's crazy.
Hey, Tom. Talking about benchies, what do you think about this benchy? You know who that is, right?
Yeah, it frightens me to death. It just don't look like him. Honestly, it frightens me to death. It looks like one of them old bobblehead things.
Walter on Yoshi body. This is Yoshi on the bottom and Walter on top.
I've seen it all. I've seen it all now.
Yeah, Walter thought that was funny.
Oh yeah, Walter's a good guy. I really like Walter. With Walter, what you see is what you get. What he says is what he thinks, and he's got no filter. He really ain't, and it is what it is. That's just what you get with Walter. And a lot of time he speaks a lot of sense, and it's not just 3D printing related. With him being live, you talk to Walter like just about what he's doing in the day, and like he couldn't stream a few months back. He couldn't stream because the internet were down, so his streams were on 4G. So he actually drove to the place where they'd cut the internet off doing some maintenance work, and he actually live streamed to show us what were happening. And it was just that unique aspect of it. When he went to Murph, he actually put the camera up above, and his wife ran the chat, and he drove to Murph live stream, and it was fantastic. And I really like Walter. He gives a different aspect on the world that we survive in, and he brings people together that wouldn't normally be in the similar sort of stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and thank God, you know, he streamed. When was it? Last night or the night before?
Yeah, he streamed last night. I watched it back, but I was watching the news at early hours, and I was seeing some 80, 90 mile an hour winds, and some of the stuff was crazy.
140 in the news. And I was thinking, oh God, and Walter lives close to that.
Walter, he's put some pictures on Twitter, and it looked like a bush, and it were his house. It was Walter's house in the back of the bush, like it hadn't touched his house. Luckily, everything were free. But before that, were Walter's home there, and now it was just like shrubbery.
Yeah, yeah, but thank God, his home is okay. That was only a tree in the backyard that got broken up.
Where's Hawk 3D Proto and irblinx and Miles I Love TiVo tonight?
yeah. Ben was trying to get one of his dogs trained in.
Just feed it.
Because he was streaming from the same room as the dog sleep, and the dog was not going to sleep. so
I think Ian's pulling his MK2 apart, MK2S apart. I'm laughing because, well, he's just had a nightmare with that printer sometimes. Just little things here and there, and just to hear him pulling it apart again just makes me laugh. I'm quite scared. Rover's getting everybody to email him in chat. I wonder what we've all done wrong.
Yeah, there's something going on that we are missing.
I know what we've done.
Yeah, but you know, what really wonders me, Rover, when he sleeps, I think he only sleeps for about 1 or 2 hours, and that's called a power sleep.
Yeah, power nap. That's it. That's the 3D printing way.
Yeah, yeah. Because 22 hours of the day, you can find him live on every channel that is live.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. He's always on.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if Ian's still in the chat. Have you fixed your printer yet, Ian? Is it up and running? That'd be a no.
Yeah, and Tom, your setup for the MMU, the spool setup on the wall, and that was crazy good looking setup.
It's great. It's fantastic. It works. I was getting probably 30% failure rate due to the materials crossing over, and that was it were purely just me being stupid. I went from the Prusa setup to my own setup like after first print, and the issue with that was that I didn't take into account what were actually happening with the filament. So I were getting my filament were moving forwards instead of wrapping background where it should have done. So I've tweaked some things, and it's good. That's part of what's printing here. This is part for the festos that take them up to the wall mount. I will still be making that wall mount publicly available when I've got time, but I've actually changed mine now. I've got my Prusas in a cupboard over there. I've got this really tall cupboard, and it takes 3 Prusas. So I've got MK2, MK3, another MK3, and then all the spools sit above that, and they all feed directly down into it. And I've got a rep box inbound for the palette. But I like the rep box in general. I like the way that Repcord went about how he's done the rep box and how he's made the community part of it, and he's a good guy, and I'd like to support him.
Did you manage to have him send it to you?
Yeah. I've got it. I've ordered it, paid for it from direct from USA. And
I've been trying to buy it from him, and he doesn't allow Iceland to be a destination.
A nice thing was that I've never really spoke to Pooch privately, just on streams, and I think what he does is great with the community catch-up, and to take that time out of his day is fantastic. But after that had happened, he sent me a message to say that when I get it, if I could give him a full, brutal, honest opinion of what I think of it, and to say something like that, it shows a lot about him. It really does, and that's something I want to support.
Yeah. I would
Martin,
really like to have
a problem with all the postage that comes to Iceland, right?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. There are a lot of sites that don't ship to Iceland, and
is that only because of the import tax, or why is that?
it just I don't know. I have a like if I get a shipment, I have to pay import tax and all that. But
Yeah.
companies just don't have Iceland as a shipping destination. And if I send an email out, and then they don't have a fixed deal with any company to deliver to Iceland, and then they can only offer a very expensive shipping option. And then they don't want to bother to have it as an option because it's maybe just me or one other guy in Iceland ordering from them over the course of a year. So they don't want to make the effort.
You do have DHL coming to Iceland, right?
Yeah, UPS and DHL, and we have several couriers. And
that's strange.
We have FedEx also, but
FedEx.
Yeah.
Okay, then you have more than enough that come to Iceland. That's something I can't understand.
Yeah, I would think so, but it's really expensive. Like getting if I order something from the States, I have to pay maybe $60 to $80 for a small item.
Yeah, similar sort of thing with UK from US, and the import charges are crazy. Like I got sent a roll of filament from somebody in America. I won't say who because he sent me it to say thank you, and I really wanted to try that filament. And the filament was sent free, and the import charge invoice was worked out at $38.
Yeah, we have the same.
One roll of filament that was free.
Yeah. I'm getting now the maker boxes. They send me the maker boxes for free because I do the content on my channel, and I still have to pay import tax, like a value-added tax VAT on the shipment. So I have to show them, because I don't have the invoice for the maker box. I have to show them on the website this is how it costs, and then they charge me the tax on it.
How I do it, so that's why Martin travels with an empty suitcase.
yeah. Like when I went to Earth, I filled up my suitcase and a little bit too much because I had almost 10 kilos overweight that I had to pay $100 for.
I bet Chris Russell says he's willing to take a flight to Iceland to drop you some filament off and fly back, and he reckons it'd still be cheaper.
Yeah, yeah. And now I plan to go to Murph, and I had an option when I was booking the flight to use some points I had, so I could upgrade to like a business class, and then I can bring 2 suitcases, and I'm definitely gonna bring 2 suitcases to Murph and fill it up with stuff.
2 suitcases and lots of hand luggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure that when you fly over there, that both of the suitcases are only half full. You know what I mean, Martin?
Yeah, yeah. I will bring to Murph quite a lot of landscapes that I'm printing, and you can see it here on the here. I'm starting to pile up landscapes.
He's like a gold miner, isn't he? Stockpiling land.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give away a lot of landscapes on Murph, and I've started to create a list of people that I want to give to, and I might do just like a raffle on the table.
So the spammer's name on Twitter is Zai Ruin Shen. That's his name, but you'll see.
Yeah, okay.
That's a name I would recognize immediately. No, I haven't had contact from that guy.
How I do it says, Don, you missed it. Martin just leaves his clothes in America he brought with him and goes home with 2 full suitcases.
Yeah, that's more likely. I don't have to bring much with me of clothes, just basic stuff for a few days.
Yeah, Martin, two pairs of jeans, just in case you need a second pair. A couple pairs of underwear, socks, and a couple of shirts,
Yeah, I think when I went to Earth, I had like one small plastic bag with my clothes in the suitcase, and the rest of the suitcase was filled with landscape prints and maker coins and such. Then on the way back, it was filled with filaments and, and stuff. So,
well, you know what you can do, Marteinn? Put one suitcase inside the other one, so that it looks like you're only going there with one suitcase. And then when you come back, you know, you take the one suitcase out of that one, and you have two.
Yeah, but
like, oh yeah, you've got 2 suitcases. We'll charge $100 now.
Yeah, it's included in the upgrade ticket I got, so I can bring 2 suitcases back and forth. So I don't have to do that.
Yeah, and then make sure one is empty.
Yeah, it definitely will. But everything that will, I'll have like maybe 15 or 20 landscapes, and that takes a lot of space, and those will all be given away. So I don't have anything to bring back except filament.
Yeah. On the live streams that I do with Mike Wiley under the week, couple of our guys there, they're trying to find out the cheapest way for me to come next year to Murph.
Push bike.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now the cheapest way is to go to Hamburg, fly from Hamburg to London, to Heathrow, and then from Heathrow right over to Chicago. That would be the cheapest way.
Yeah, okay. I'm lucky. I have a direct flight from Keflavík in Iceland to Chicago. So it's a simple travel for me. It's 6.5 hour flight.
Yeah, nice. For me, it'd be somewhere around 11 or 12 hours flight time.
Yeah, yeah. Kat, she's coming. So her flight is actually coming from Germany to Keflavík in Iceland, and we will have the same plane going from Iceland to Chicago. So we are on the same flight, and that was the cheapest option she could find.
That's nice. Yeah, I forgot to ask, is she back in Germany now, or is she still over there in
She's in Liechtenstein.
Luxembourg.
Or
Liechtenstein.
That 3D design says get a canoe, or even better, print one.
Huh? Row a boat 3 months earlier. Well, in my condition, I think I would have to start right now before I'd get there in time.
So what's the best thing or favorite thing that you've printed that you've got on display behind you? Is that Marteinn? Is that a Mary Rose egg behind you?
This is a dragon egg from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it looks really nice. Then I have the X-wing in Vertigo Galaxy. It's really nice.
That's world's best filament. That.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, but that X-wing is a little small.
Yeah, I wanted to do a bigger one. Then this came out really nice. This is Filamentum Icelandic Blue.
I love it how you call it Icelandic blue.
Yeah, it's called Iceland Blue.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I've noticed you say it a few times. I love it.
Yeah,
that is a beautiful color.
That filament pushed me into a week-long calibration of hollow printing, because obviously you get some little lines on it when you see the infill touch because it's that transparent. And I try and print a lot of stuff hollow with that now. And like Luby 3D Sorceress, if you print that model in Iceland blue with no infill, it's just it's gorgeous. It's like glass.
Yeah.
I printed mine in a dark brown color.
I've not printed out this week. I'm hardwaring this week, and I don't do very well with hardware.
Then I have this Benzie in polyalchemy elixir. It's really shiny and nice looking Benzie.
Yeah, that's the right size for a Benzie.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I've been trying to share a lot of fails recently and that sort of thing, and as it sort of happens, but I spent all night rebuilding my MK2 last night. I got the E3D V6 pre-built. Installed a hardened steel nozzle and caps and tubes. I didn't screw the nozzle in far enough. The captain tubes wasn't seated correctly. Luckily, I spotted that the captain tubes wasn't seated correctly, so I took it out to cut another piece with the snippers, the captain cutter thing. Rebuilt the whole printer, got it all going, did all the wire wrap with the tape, put it all back together so it was like brand new. And then after about 12 seconds, it jammed. Thinking, why is it jammed? So I've cleared it all out, carried on. Have a guess why it jammed. Because idiot here hadn't put the captain tube back in. It wasn't there at all. So it was just straight in. So I had to redo all that again, which I got done early hours of this morning. But then I did a print on it and it looks fantastic. So I'm happy with that.
Oh, that's nice that it's working. Yeah. Hey, but Tom, would you also say before buying a MMU, buy a pallet?
No.
You wouldn't say that?
No, not. I've got a Palette Plus, which 3D Maker Noob gave to me. I've never purchased that. I always did want to buy one, and it just came around that Joe said, you can have this one, which is fantastic, and I'm touched by that. And I love the palette, and I love what it can do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that, if I attach my palette to my MK3, then I suppose the Proto, the multi-material 2 would win because it's got an extra colour. So you can still have the 4 colours and you can still have the soluble supports. I can't comment on Palette 2 or Palette 2 Pro because I don't have one. But a lot of people write off the fact that I know that Palette 2 and Palette Plus can go on to any multitude of printers, but when you pair a multi-material upgrade with an MK3, it is a serious upgrade because the machine itself is capable of printing all those multi-materials. So for instance, if I took my Ender 3 and I attached my palette to it, it'd do some great 4-color PLA, PTG, maybe TPU at a push, nice and slow. It'd be a difficult process to do a full multi-material legitimate print. Whereas with a Prusa, that's not the case because you can print PTG fast and proper, you can print PLA fast and proper, TPUs, you can print harder materials with the right nozzle. I've no doubt the Ender 3 can do it, but you try getting the Ender 3 to print, for instance, CPE at 265 on the nozzle and 100 degrees on the bed, that sort of thing. It can print it, but for how long? And then when you put the palette into that, there's a lot of variables to go wrong. Whereas the MK3 multi-material 2 upgrade is designed for the MK3, so when you partner them both together, it makes for a beast of a machine. And I'm saying that from 3 colours. From 3 colours and a few pre-sliced G-codes, the thing is an animal. It prints just like your MK3 does, but it prints in 5 different materials.
Yeah, but in 5 different colours, you're talking about a print that's going to take a couple of days.
Not true. Depends. It all depends on the print. It's all about, a lot of it is like, for instance, if you have stripes, it won't be, and don't purge, it'd be no difference. If you had a Benchy, for instance, and you wanted to print it 2-color, if you printed 15 of those, you'd have no more waste. So that waste, a lot of the time, is offset by that part, and also by the way that the designers put the color and they split the models. A lot of models are models that are made and then they are split to be color models or multi-materials. They are mesh mixed up. There's a lot of models that are designed actually in parts to go together like that. Yeah. Now these ones work better because the transitions are softer. If you imagine on certain multi-materials, when someone has chopped it, if you've got a tree and you've got the tree going into a base, that tree might go a good 30 mil into the bottom. So then you've got 30 mil extra of purge between colors that weren't necessary. And that's, again, but that'll all change as the technology grows, the design base will grow behind it, the color, the way that we slice will change. Everything, as the color options become more mass market, so will everything else that backs that up. Just like if you look at filament, always try and look at something that's established, that's changed. Look at filament 3 years ago and look at it now. Look at what changes happen from printing just ABS to now PLA to all manner of materials. The same thing will happen with multi-material printing. It will become, first of all, more cost-effective across all machines, and then it will become more mass market, and then things will get improving quality. Like if you imagine 2 years ago what £155 would have bought you as a printer, it certainly wouldn't have bought you an Ender 3, which it buys today. So things get better, things improve as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we see the improvements in the printing industry that have been made in the last, let's say, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's gone from I would say a point where you're throwing stones to now where you're printing filament.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like look at my pictures and stuff. I only use a phone. It just shows how far phones and technology come across. And
Yeah.
I get asked all the time if I use macro lenses and that sort of thing. I don't. I just take my phone out of my pocket. I stick it in the best light in my hand and I take a picture of it and I know what best. So it's everything that's going to get better. Like Mark II. Look at a Prusa Mark II, Mark IIS, Mark III, Mark IV, Mark V. It's only going to get better.
I'm still waiting for Prusa to come out with a Mark IV, let's say, that has a 300 by 300 by 400 print volume on it, with all the features from the MK3.
Yeah, I would buy that. Definitely.
I'd buy that too. For me, I don't. It's just my gut feeling. It won't look like it won't be. A lot of people imagine a big MK3. I don't see that. I see it being a Core XY. I don't know why, but I just got that feeling. But here's a question that I asked Prusa at TCT. We were having a chat, and I said to him, "When's the big machine come? When does it come? When's it happening? Because it's got to be happening. It's got to be. It's just got to be." His question to me was, "What do you want to print that big?" So, no, but seriously though, think about it. And when he's asked me that question, I sat and thought about that question. And what do I actually want to print that's that big? Like I've got a form bot that's 400 by 400 by 500. I think I filled that build plate twice. Once we're printing a 1000% Proto gnome.
Yeah.
And the other time we're a giant vase. Other than that, I have never filled that volume. Same as CR10. I have never filled it from corner to corner, from top to top. I've got close, but I've never got right in. So if you ask yourself that question, what would you print? Like right now, if you had that right there, what would you print? You'd get something. I would print
bigger those.
Exactly. So that's a real world. That's a real world application. So Martin, tweet that on Twitter and say @Joseph Prusa, this is why we need a bigger MK3. And there you go. That's a real reason.
Yeah.
Surely he's got to do it then.
Hey, Martin, go into Twitter and check your messages.
Yeah.
I sent you a message with a picture.
Dirty pictures.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa there.
Oh, that's sexy.
Keep it clean. We've got young impressionable people in the chat like Knack3 Designs. They don't need to be seeing stuff like that. Or Chris Russell, they'll get excited.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Martin has the possibility to make a share screen so that you can see that. Can you do that, Martin?
Yeah. If you see my screen now, I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a.
That's the reason why I need a big printer.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Now you need something called Luban software. You don't need a big printer.
I have the Luban software.
To chop and go.
Yeah, but I already have the STL files for that guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right now, I'm trying to convince 1-3D that I need 15 kilos from their brass gold filament.
Yeah, for that product, that will be really cool. Roger. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And just think that guy's going to be 6 foot tall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mitch 3D in the States. He's going to bring a full-size Jolbot to Murph.
Nice.
Well, I shared the Luban software. I saw it on the Facebook group. They shared it there, and I was going to delete it at first because we just don't allow stuff like that. And then when I read into it, and I spoke to them, and they said about, because at first it were really expensive, like really expensive, and then they worked on that, and it's $20 a year licensing. Now I've shared that software and I've used that software, but I've not actually shown what I've been doing with it. And between me, you, and everybody that's watching, I'm actually printing a life-size Iron Man, like a fully legit life-size Sanix 1 Iron Man, like 8 foot tall Iron Man.
Wow.
I've printed it a few times quite big, nothing of that scale, but everywhere you look of Iron Man is about, in that suit, is about 8 foot tall, so that's what we're going for. and it's 1,300 pieces in total.
1,300.
1,300 pieces.
1,300 pieces.
Holy!
That's no. Have you seen Pokémon's Bench? You could sit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the Professor Liu Yi Chen. Liu Yi Chen, the professor who designed that Luban software.
Luban software. What is that?
The Luban software, that's a software that you can use. For example, you have a dragon that just fit on your CR10 plate. For example, you have a nice dragon model, but you want to print one that is, let's say, 3 meters long and 2 meters high. You can use that software. You can import that model. You can tell them how big your plate is that you're going to be printing these parts on, and you can configure it, and then you can tell it to slice that. It will slice that model into several parts, which you can then print, and each part has its own connecting pins. That means that means when you have two parts that look similar and you're not sure if they go together, all you have to do is just try to fit them together. If the pins do not fit correctly in the holes, then that is not the correct part.
Try it when you get to 1,300 pieces. It's not so simple. The reason being is the more pieces you get, the less difference. If you've got 10 pieces, the less size difference between the notches is okay. If you've got 1,300, the size difference is like 0.3 of a millimeter.
Yeah,
Okay.
you definitely have to have a printing plan for that one.
Night, Chris. Practical printing's got to go back to work. See you later, Chris.
Yeah, see you, Chris. Yeah, I have to have a look at that. Luban.
Conference call time. Got to run. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Marteinn.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you think, but yeah, it's almost 1 a.m. for me.
Yeah, it's turning 11 o'clock here.
12 a.m. Yeah. 12 o'clock, should I say, not a.m. 12 p.m.
Yeah.
12. Yeah, I'm ahead of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm already in the
if I could just make a suggestion before we go, we've still got 26 people watching. If anybody has a topic, a subject, or anything they'd like to see us discuss in future streams, if they could tweet Marteinn, message Marteinn, I'll direct it at Marteinn that way. Because we don't struggle for ideas, but it'd be nice to talk about stuff rather than just us deciding if there's certain things, and we can maybe get 5 or 6 like discussions to cover like this, like for instance Luban software. We could share that, not in a community catch-up type way, but we could talk about things that are going on in the community right now at this minute and sort of be relevant on that topic. Yeah,
tweet to 3DP Iceland,
yeah,
I'll gather ideas on a topic list.
And I think next in the fortnight, we should all come back with a list of why Joseph Prusa should make a 300 by 300 by 300 printer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We should send him a recording of the stream.
We'll just keep tagging him in it.
Yeah.
Well, right now, if we try to talk him into that, he's probably going to tell us, well, that's going to have to wait right now because we have a lot of work to do with that DLP printer. Nah,
I don't see that myself. I think Prusa is all about sections and markets. You can see it with the way that he's gone and the way that he's moved. I don't think that there's out there to stop them. I reckon that this year at Maker Faire, they could have released 3 machines this year if they wanted to. MMU2, SL1, and a big Prusa. I don't know this for a fact, but SL1 went from not knowing anything about it to a sneak peek. He's brought a company to, you can pre-order it now. And that's a different thing. For that we're already established. And I think that the market is big enough for a big Prusa. But again, it's just all about logistics. It's all about having it so that that one's done and one's ready to fire off before the next one. But I think the other ones that come before it are.
Yeah. Yeah. Just imagine, Tom, Prusa big printer. I mean,
never buy another printer again.
A Prusa big printer with all of the features that the MK3 has.
Well, it's not even about features. That's Prusa. The MK3 is Prusa. He defines a market. That printer there, like the flex plate and all that. I know it all comes before, but he puts it in a package and then he puts the Prusa pin, the Prusa spin on it, like the Prusament. A lot of people don't know that the specifications that he manufactures to, there's a lot of companies that do. They just don't market that they manufacture like that. Like he did the website, he did the fancy spool. He takes what's available. Don't get me wrong, he invents a lot of stuff as well, but it also takes a lot of stuff that's available and he puts the Prusa spin on it. So I think if a larger build volume MK3 came, it would naturally be a progression of the MK3 anyway, because that's the Prusa. That says Prusa.
Yeah.
I think, and I also think there's a space for a base Prusa as well, a cheaper version of this, smaller print volume, 150 by 150 by 150, aimed at the smaller market of people that buy these cheaper, smaller XYZ type printers for like mums and dads buy the kids and them sort of things out of Argos and that sort of thing. I think there's a market for Prusa in that way. You don't need all the bells and the whistles. You need reliability and customer support, which is two things that Prusa offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So should we say goodbye to this stream? We are going to bed.
Well, I will be heading in that direction soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if I was the first one to go, I would like to say thank you for letting me join this stream tonight. That was really nice being here with you. Yeah. And thank you all for being on the stream, watching us. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And don't forget to visit the other channels from the guys here.
Don't visit mine. Don't visit my channel. Not yet. Give me a few months, then come back.
Yeah. I mean, you know, small side note, I will be streaming tomorrow. 8
shameless plug.
8 a.m. U.S. Central Time, 1500 Germany time, 1400 UK time.
He had this plug ready. He had it wrote down, Martin. I'm telling you, he came here purely to solicitate that stream for tomorrow. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, I put a link in the chat to your channel. So.
Oh, hey Tom, we'll be doing a Google Hangout, you know. So as soon as Mike is awake, he can come over and join. As soon as you're awake, you can come over and join. I will be happy to have you guys there.
Yeah. If I'm working on my printers or doing it, I might as well join.
Yeah, and we'll have Mike there, Mike Wiley, and maybe a couple other guys too.
Yeah.
And who knows? In the afternoon, maybe Ben from Hawk 3D will join us too.
Not likely. Where is he tonight? He's a regular on here. In fact, he's a co-host on here. Ben? Yeah. Ben? No Ben here.
Where are you, Ben?
He's hiding away.
Yeah.
He's had it difficult as Ben last few weeks. He's not been well. He's been getting some work done at home. I won't say anything. It's up to Ben. He's been getting some work done at home on some building work. He's got a new dog. He's recently moved house. It's all going 10 to a dozen. But today he got what's it called? He got Simplify 3D Print of the Week, and that meant the world to Ben. It really did, and it showed him that everything that he's done is worthwhile. So yeah, he's getting that.
Yeah. He already said that the hand workers are going to be in his house downstairs, still working on his makerspace this coming week.
And I've just launched a website, which the URL is now www.FilamentFrenzy.com. Thanks to JT. I still need to set up a price plan on the website so it takes all the branding off, and then JT is going to apply the listing to it. But the guy, he went and secured the domain name and everything just on the hint of that I was doing a website, because I really don't have a clue without like that. So he linked it and did fantastic. So if you if you hit filamentfrenzy.com, all my profiles and stuff are on there. There's no affiliate links. There's a buy me a coffee link. It's for me. It's not about that. It's about share, learn, grow.
Yeah, and like
Okay.
you,
Yeah. Okay.
you have the links in the video descriptions for all channels, and I will add yours as well, Don.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would like to thank everybody for watching and taking part in the chat and watching the streams. So see you guys later.
See you later. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.